a world where space and time are intertwined, one man dared to challenge the status quo. His name? Dayton Miller. His weapon of choice, a flute. But not just any flute. This instrument held the power to unleash the ether, a pervasive medium once thought to fill the universe. Miller, a physicist by trade, a musician at heart, discovered a harmonic resonance within the ether.
Hello and welcome to the Friday Community Twitter Space, hosted by Brian Sweet, Kenbo, and V. I'll be joining here in a second, but before I join, we're going to watch an Aether rap from our boy Gleam. So I was going to make this my intro, but I haven't got around to doing that yet. But let's all enjoy a nice Aether rap.
What's going on, people? Word of mouth, street sessions.
All right, so this is from Gleam. He performed this recently, and they just aired it. So here's the YouTube channel, and I'll put a link in the chat for you guys. But yeah, we're going to have Gleam open us up here. Here we go.
We're a veteran, a legend of the game right about now. Introduce yourself.
Blessed, this is Gleam. Catch me anywhere, Gleam Music, a.k.a. M.Grandpa. Ha! Bless up, big up Portsmouth, big up Word of Mouth. Street Session Season 4, here we go.
Tell him, man.
I'm an ether creature in this.
Let's do this, bro.
Blessed. You know what? Hey, you. Wind your neck in. I don't find you threatening. I'm a qualified veteran, a letter in. Job titles, head of development. I get my eminence, swimming in the fifth element. A megalithic, head-lifting medalist. My pen and ink drips, hits of adrenaline. Never the heavy side, I'm Laurentian. Quintessence, electrify my skeleton. Catch me, trapped in the Diraxi. Fill in the gaps or collapse if any cracks leak. Relax, breathe, read the fact sheet. Attach or lead these patterns, flatten batteries. Pack a wrapper up, back to the factory. For having a lack of love to even catch a beat. To reach apogee, you need a lack of sleep. I read the category and just so happen to be an ether creature. Here to keep negative energy beneath us. Yo, an elite caliber, following King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. I'm an ether creature, here to keep negative energy beneath us. An elite caliber, give it a big geezer. Yo, I can dig it a bit deeper, yo. Big up Street Sessions, Word of Mouth. Keep watching out, Gleam signing out. M.Grandpa.
Word of mouth, street sessions. Tell them where they can find you, man. Come on.
You can find me all over the place, Gleam Music. Or gleammusic.co.uk. That's Gleam, G-L-E-E-M. My name's Lee. Catch it. Blessed oneness, everybody.
There you go. You heard it here first. Word of mouth, street sessions. If you're not locked in, where are you, man? Check it.
Straight fire from our boy Gleam. All right, here we go. We'll join the lads and see what they're up to on the Twitters.
And who the hell wants to listen to Peter? Does anybody
What,
really?
what happened to our boy Evan?
Is he not here?
No, he ain't here. I haven't seen him. I haven't seen him at all today.
Him and his day and night cycle prove that the Earth is in motion.
Yeah, he's young though, so
I'm in Twitter.
he might be out with the youngins.
Come to Twitter stuff.
All right, so we need to send somebody down because
Hey, not much. Hey, so we're talking about the mountains that are tree trunks. So I've probably been involved in this for about 3.5 years. So we're talking about these. So I watched a video a while back and it kind of blew my mind. The waterfalls that come out of the top of a mountain, and they're talking about where's this water coming from, because there's no rivers at the top. There's no areas where lakes or anything like that could be held, but the water is just running out of the top of the mountains and coming out as a waterfall. And I used to live down in Kentucky, used to climb the mountains down there in the hills and stuff and get underneath the limestone on the side of the mountains. Well, there's nothing on top of the mountain, but we've got water that runs out the side of the limestone from the rock faces of the mountains. So it was real interesting that the trees, he was talking about the trees, that the trees, I don't think Earth can ever run out of water.
No.
But it was a good question. Where's the water coming from if there's no body of water on top of a mountain? because of the trees are what he was talking about. The trees hold so much water, and with the mountains, as we're talking about, the gentleman was talking about the pictures. He was calling it a rock and a rock, but once you focused out, it was a mountain. And if you look at some of them, they look like tree stumps where they all been cut down. And I just figured I'd throw that out there. It was kind of interesting because where is the water coming from if we ain't got bodies of water on top of the mountains? Where's the water coming from? It has to be coming from all the trees.
Excuse me, sir. It sounds like you're trying to use pattern recognition to contradict historical narratives about mountains and the origins of a globe. And I don't really like where you're going with this with your whole free thought.
Right? I mean, seriously, where's all the water coming from on Niagara Falls or any of these humongous mountains and stuff? There isn't a big old block of ice on there. Hey, Chris, you're hot micing or something there. So, but I mean, seriously, I watched videos where people are tapping into trees and turn with a spigot and just turning on and off the water and stuff, man.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Made a good
drilling
point.
holes in trees, getting water out of them.
Crazy world out there, man. Crazy world. How you doing today?
The free thinkers.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of people gathered together thinking freely and hypothesizing about what could be, and I didn't like it, so I decided to stop it.
Yeah, he dropped down a listener like as soon as he started talking.
Want to talk about suppression?
Just froze for me.
You just boom.
Oh, now it's gone.
Well, while we're waiting for Alan to come back, anybody that has not seen Shane's presentation, Alan's, and it's really excellent. It's an excellent presentation. You don't have to be mathematically inclined to actually pick up on what he's putting down. It's easy to understand. It's one of the best presentations I've seen in a while.
I think it's on Globebusters, isn't it? From Sunday?
Is it? It might be on Globebusters too. They did it.
Yeah, the latest one is, yeah. Yeah, I guess it is on both. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But it is easily one of the best presentations I've watched in a while. And I mean, it's not like EtherCos doesn't put out good videos all the time, presentations.
What are you trying to say, Ken? All presentations aren't created equally or something? What the ruck?
Yeah, I'm trying to say Shane put together a very nice presentation.
It's phenomenal.
I really appreciated it.
I
watched it 5 times so far.
It's a really good one on a subject that is like touted as like the absolute proof and definitive distances to these things, and it's like, well, let's take a look at what you guys did. Oh, nothing of the sort, huh? Unlucky.
Even as a Windows user, I got to give props to Shane. Good job, Shane.
As a filthy, disgusting subhuman. Oh, sorry. What were you saying?
I love you, Shane.
Thanks, Ken, dude. I'm glad you enjoyed it. That was a really important one. I think that its reliance on the flat earther, formerly known as Jaren, should be importantly called out. Although on Globebusters, I forgot to play that whole video, so I just talked through it at the end. But it's kind of instrumental in the whole foundation, as it was in my own understanding for how they built that model in the solar system and what scaling invariance was and how it's used and how the only thing you ever observed is the angular diameter 0.53 degrees from which they constructed their entire fictional model, right, all the way through.
Yeah, definitely got to watch it again. But I was going to bring that up. I was going to say, isn't that the one where, Jaren actually did all that stuff before he went stupid?
Yep. No, he put a lot of information there, dude. He did the whole scaling invariance thing and angular resolution. He put all the visuals together, right? He narrated through it. My basic understanding of it came from that video. I don't know how many years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, something like that. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, yeah. And then that's how I went through most of those arguments. And then when you delve deep into it, you figure out, oh, all the guesses all this historical, progression towards a supposed ultimate truth conclusion is just a fabrication, right? They just played with the diameter, played with the distance, and they just kept the same angular size until they found a tuple that worked in that ratio. And they were like, look, we got it. We figured everything out. And also simultaneously works everything else out. But the kicker was that paper we found from NASA from the dude who was like, actually, all of the constants in physics known from the the distance from the orbit, the orbital mechanics, the size of the Earth, they're all kind of interrelated and not independently confirmable. That's a problem, isn't it? And everyone was like, no. And he was like, okay. And his paper got published and no one gave a shit.
No. Like, okay. It's fine.
No.
So
It's all ratios, right?
Shouldn't we confirm these independent of one another rather than interlocking them and making them interdependent to create an eternally consistent system? They're like, no.
Should we be concerned that we can't independently confirm any of this? They were like, nah, it's fine. Like, all right, by the definition of, independent constants, they should be. They were like, no, be quiet. He was like, okay. But yeah, so that was a good presentation. Thank you, sir.
Speaking of presentations, there's going to be a special celestial theodolite presentation on Monday. So if you haven't caught any of the Cell Theo episodes, Monday would be a good one to tune into to get all caught up on the recent best arguments put forward by the the Globers that are on the case, as they say. Like, how you assign police to different crimes to investigate. Well, the top detectives for the Globe side are on this one, guys, and they've put together their case. We're going to review it on Monday. So if you haven't seen any Cell Theo stuff, definitely check it out, because it's going to be a good one. It's going to be it's going to add a lot of clarity to things, I think.
Let me guess, Jesse Pathawhite is focused on one anomaly in the data.
Oh, it's even, dude. I wish, dude, if that was the case, that would make it. That would be like an honest.
Man, did we lose him again?
Back. 1 second, lads. I can get on my phone. Son, I hook up mad Bluetooth devices to my head and I turn them on.
Well, fun to say, not fun to live when it turns out you're drastically wrong. Anyways, yeah, no, check it out, man. You might find that's exactly what's going to solve the problem here.
So this Cell Theo Monday, what were you saying?
Yeah, we lost you at dude.
What we cut off? Dude.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, go for it, man.
All right. Oh, all right. I'll be right back. I just switched to the computer with the thing off, so we'll see how it goes.
Cool.
Hey, everybody. I just want to welcome and stuff. So he's going to probably ask some questions. And this is what it's all about, is us connecting and finding, because me and him are been, remember how I've been saying in chats, I've been on talking to my buddy, and I wish I could connect with more. This is my buddy, Doug. So welcome in, everybody.
Or accept the answers, but if you're willing to ask questions and listen, that's good enough for conversation.
You know, I think that's the one thing that really made me snap is that you flat earthers never answer this flight path or this map. And I just lost my shit. I probably owe everybody over there at Earth Awakening's apology, man.
Sorry. Dude, nah, it gets really frustrating. And actually, that's what we're going to encounter on Monday. A bunch of this has never been answered / I don't know what this does in the spreadsheet, even though we've done 27 weeks of telling everyone what everything does anyway. Yeah, so that'll be on Monday. We're going to go over that. And when I replied dude to what V said, the response was originally going to be, if that's what it was, then that would be like an honest take on it or whatever, but it's much worse than that. So
well, Brian, you know how I know we live on a balls? Because I'm not a retard.
Yeah.
That guy. I'm not a retard.
oh, dude, my favorite was there was a guy that came on a Flat Earth Friday, and just he's so much confidence in the way he said it. He was like, Sacred asked him, he was like, "Have you ever even looked into flat Earth, bro?" And the guy was like, "No, I'm not a retard. I went to kindergarten. I went to kindergarten."
Yeah, just had that, dude. Just had that last week. You just missed it. I'm not a retard. I'm not a retard.
Oh, dude, I laughed so hard. Yeah, dude, the unbridled confidence of no, I went to kindergarten. All right, dude.
I've heard that.
Did you use Google? Because I'm not a retard.
I went to kindergarten. Yeah, you went to kindergarten. It's like, yeah, all right. Hey, it's fair too, because honestly, until you actually look into it, you could think anybody that says it is kind of stupid, because I didn't even know this was a conversation. And if I saw a bunch, what are you talking? It'd be like coming in, but it's kind of like going in, somebody's like talking about fairies and stuff and being like, "Oh, you're a bunch of retards." Like, why are you even here, man? Even though fairies are real.
Well, we asked that guy if he had any evidence the Earth is a globe, and he said, "I have a really high IQ," and then it devolved into "You're all retards if you don't think it is."
I had a really big brain, dude. Like if you crack this bad boy open, you would see so many folds in my upper lobe or whatever. Is that kind of what he was saying?
Brian was drilling them on his numbers, and he couldn't provide the numbers. It was pretty funny.
Numbers are hard.
Numbers are. He said he had a high IQ. I was like, "What's your IQ?" He's like, "You can look in my profile." I was like, "You don't remember?"
What the ruck? You can look at my profile, dude. Imagine having your IQ on your profile. Like it's now your identity. You're like, let's say hypothetically it was high. he's like, he now has to like let everyone know, hey, I'm like the smartest guy in the world. Like, just in case you didn't know. Anyway, if you want to ask me something, I'll let you know with my big fucking brain.
He told us his IQ was up there with Elon Musk, right, Brian?
Yeah, he said he was up there. He's like, "I'm up there with Elon Musk," and I'm like, "Are you a billionaire?" It's like, "No." I was like, "Keep Elon's name out your mouth, then."
Dude,
don't be trying to be a billionaire.
On Tartaria, what's the time frame they existed? That's one of the questions I've been thinking about too. Can you kind of give some info on that?
Maybe Keith can, but
it would appear that everything that we have we actually do have genealogies, genealogical charts of the Grand Khan of Tartaria. I'll post that up to the top in a second. Genghis Khan was the first crowned emperor, and I believe it was 1202 to 1204 AD after fighting some religious tax rebellion. That consolidated a bunch of tribes together, and the empire started to grow. And I'm not saying there was no Tartaria prior to that, but this is where we've got the writings of Marco Polo. He was in Kublai Khan's court for 20 plus years, who was the great grandson of Genghis Khan.
We've got the writings of Bishop Caprini in 1253 AD, who was sent by Pope Innocent IV as basically to go ask for peace and to help fight the Muslims during the Crusades. But when you look at it, it looks like from the year 1200 on to 1400, it grew. Now, when Genghis Khan died, it did break up into four khanates. Each one of his four sons inherited a portion of the empire. And then all the way down to like Tamerlane in the 1500s, supposedly defeated Babylon. But as soon as you get to right around the 1700s, Tartaria on the maps starts to shrink. And from the year about 1700 to right around 1850, right around there, it starts shrinking really fast. And then all of a sudden, the Russian Empire seems to absorb it at a lightning pace. So it looks like right around the year 1800 was really about like the highest speed of the downfall of Tartaria, according to the maps and the books that we have left.
Now, where does the ancient technology come from?
Well, that's to be examined still. And I think that it's really the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. The technology, what if the technology back then looked different than the technology we use today? What if like piezoelectrics and atmospheric electrical generation and working with this enclosed systems electrical pressure gradient system? Like what if we had technology that harnessed the natural phenomena of the earth and worked with it?
What if there was a shit ton of pyramids around that helped a lot, transmit energy?
Right. When you look at the pyramids, just stop and go to the U.S. Patent Office and Google pyramid generator, taking the exact dimensions and angles and the sacred geometry and the Fibonacci spirals of what we used in the Giza pyramid. We know that just creating a pyramid in that shape will create an electrical charge, an electrical field. So just the shape alone is enough to say that it could generate something. But then take all the weight of all those blocks and all that sandstone, all that weight on all that piezoelectric stuff on top of water that's moving underneath. And when you stop and look at it, it probably was a ginormous analog machine. I think high technology in the past was analog instead of digital.
And it was probably free too, huh?
I would guess so. I mean, there's so many things that we don't discuss. Like, does anybody know how the light at the top of a light tower for boats? I can't remember the name of it. But the towers that we use on the coast.
Houses.
Yeah,
The lighthouse.
the lighthouse. Did you guys know how that light turns up there? Historically, it was because
Mercury.
in the bed of Mercury. Now we've got something rotating in a pool of Mercury that is generating light and sending it out. Now, officially, that's not how it happened, but we know from talking with Matthew Rife that when you take mercury and you swirl it in a circle, that it does generate an electrical charge. So I really do think that it was all about using the Earth's natural phenomena in an analog technological way compared to what we do today.
You mean
But also,
lighthouse wasn't just a giant magnifier that they put a candle behind?
I wish it was that simple. I wish.
Dude, I watched the cartoons too, man. I know that's
the contrary effect is basically seen on ocean currents. It's basically like a stirring pot, right? It just circles, and it makes way more sense on a flat Earth plane than on a globe Earth.
Speaking of globe Earth, maybe in Celtio Monday, you can actually make it a point to point out how we derive our flat Earth elevation angle to the mountain peak, because apparently no one believes me when I say it's strictly just rise over run. There's nothing else to it.
Hey, Cage, did you see that Russian newspaper article up in the nest? It's from TASS. TASS is like the largest news agency in Russia, kind of like CNN or Fox here. but they did a whole front page news report about it's a flat world. And if you read it, it tells you how the shape of Russia became exaggerated for the Mercator map. Kind of weird to have that on the front page of Russian news.
When was this?
I think it was about a year ago. I could be wrong, but somewhere around there.
Yeah, these guys all want an accurate map. I'm looking for one too.
You say it's in the nest?
Yeah, it should be up there any second for you.
Yeah.
Most recent post.
Look at that. Russia came out and told their citizens, hey, we're not really shaped the way you think we're shaped, and let us explain to you why, because it's a flat world. Weird.
I mean, they can literally it's flat and people still won't believe it. Got Neil deGrasse Tyson said, you got to be up higher than that. That stuff is flat.
Wait a second. That guy right there, that Tyson guy, do you know how he became an astrophysicist? He started his own astrophysicist department at the museum that he worked at. He started it. I think the guy worked at Burger King prior to that. Like literally, he is like self-proclaimed and self-made in every way, shape, or form. I think he's even more bunk than Einstein, who was dating his Jewish boy cousin.
We're gonna have to rotate some mics.
Hey, this is Doug. Would it be all right if I said something?
Yeah, go ahead, Doug.
Hey, also, I appreciate you guys letting me speak. You know, this is kind of new to me. But I was watching a video. It was real interesting. I'm into things that opened your mind because I know we've been lied to pretty much all of our life and everything. But it was real interesting, and Keith sounds like he's real knowledgeable. And I just wanted to throw this by, and maybe everybody can think about this. But they were talking about the China Wall. And what they were saying, what if it wasn't the China Wall? What if it was the Tartaria Wall, and it was to keep out the evil, more back then, more like the pedophiles, what we call them today, the witchcraft and everything. Because me and Chris was talking about it, and Chris, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that the wall where they would shoot out the wall and stuff faces into China. So would that kind of tell us that the wall was, like I said, I'm just going off what I seen, but they was calling it the Great Tartaria Wall back then, not the China Wall. And I just wanted to bring out and see what you guys would think about that.
Well, it is facing the wrong direction, and they're claiming that thing is like 13,000 miles long, and
yeah. And it's supposed to wrap it would if they ran it across the United States, it would like 7 times. It would go across the United States from coast to coast 7 times.
Well, it's all in China too, and the circumference, that's half the circumference of the Earth.
Just to add to it, when you said that it was originally called the Great Wall of Tartaria, just about every single person would say you're wrong. But if you look up in the nest, I got a really old book that says that was the original name of it, that it was the Great Wall of Tartaria. There's the proof right there.
Yeah, it really caught my mind. Like I said, I'm always open-minded because we know we've been lied to for so long, and anything that just opens your mind, it just, boy, we got really screwed in life.
I also just put a second book up to the nest just now. That book claims the Tartars built the wall in 639 AD. But we've got a lot of books that make the claim that it's a Tartarian wall, a Tartar wall. And if you just go to the capital of China, the Forbidden City, did you know that the Forbidden City was originally called Tartar City? And during the Great Boxer Rebellion, I forget the name of the United States president that went there. It wasn't Johnson. I forget his name. I'll put a stuff to the nest. But we've got CIA declassified documents claiming that the Tartarians had built Tartar City. And then in our declassified documents, in some places, we even tried to black out Tartar and just put Forbidden City. But originally, the capital of China was 100% called the Tartar City. The United States president during the Boxer Rebellion was denied entry because he did not have Tartar blood. I'll post up those classified CIA documents.
Well, if it came from the CIA, then you know it has to be true, right?
Yeah, that's a conundrum, isn't it?
It probably is, though. The CIA only lets you know what they want you to know.
Well, our CIA believes that the Tartarians built the Forbidden City in the year 1268, just 50-something years after Genghis Khan rose to power and united the tribes.
All with hammers and chisels.
Hammers and chisels, Brian, and they got that Holland Tunnel, right, in New York City, 1920 something. How much water did they have to move with those hammers and chisels to build
Horses
that
and buggies,
tunnel?
bro. You know how much water you can move with a bunch of horses and buggies? Holy shit.
Crazy, dude. Especially when, you know,
they had buckets.
They got buckets.
Yeah. They drained Lake Michigan with those Chicago water cribs. Man, those horses and donkeys are insane, bro. Insane.
Don't forget, Mr. High IQ said they had the steam engine back then, so they were all set. Don't worry about any of the other logistics.
Yeah, because it's so easy to drain a Great Lake with horses and donkeys and chisels. It's wild.
No, bro, they had steam engines, so trust me.
Yeah, you try to get people to think, man, and it's like you got a high IQ, huh? All right. How'd they do it? It's there. What do you want?
I can't even fathom where all the bricks came from. Like, I drive around and I look at the foundations. I don't even know how they did all the. I can't even understand where all the foundations came from, even in my city. And our city, the whole roads used to be all bricked, so they had brick roads. Like, it's just wild. This population.
Man, we found the Sumerian tablets and somehow translated them, even though it's a dead language that we don't have a codex to. But we ain't found one set of blueprints for any of the buildings that were built. Whatever. Whatever, man. If you want to believe that, you can.
Well, I mean, yeah. Last vacation last week, I was actually staying in an old Tartarian office building that was turned into a hotel, and I'm just sitting there sleeping in somebody's old office, thinking to myself, like, what did these people do? Like, what were their jobs? Like, they lived in such opulence. Like, what was a job? It's just interesting. It's wild.
Tending them goats, man.
Yeah, they lived in opulence, but had slave labor that built all that stuff. They lived in little mud huts. Throw together lean-tos. With a plank floor and.
Well, that's what President Lincoln was born in a mud hut there.
He could build a log cabin.
I had a quick question because I think Doug is Christopher's friend. I'm just wondering what shape he thinks the Earth is. You there, Doug? Doug Robinson?
Hey, yeah, can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
What shape do you think the Earth is?
Did you say deep Earth?
Hey, V, can you get a little closer to your mic, bro?
He's asking you.
Sorry, I apologize. What shape do you think the Earth is?
I know it ain't round. I know we're not on a globe. The way the Bible says, I say it's on pillars. I think there's four corners to it. Like I said, this is I've been into it about 3.5 years, and if I'm going by the Bible, it's built on pillars, four corners, and like I said, and we got a firmament over top of us. Yeah, I think it's flat. I don't think we're spinning.
Well, I agree with the Bible. Have you looked beyond that in terms of looking at the curvature?
of what they're telling what we live on, or the flat part?
Well, I guess the lack of curvature would be flatness, right? So that's where I'm wondering. People say, "Oh, it could be round, it could be flat." But we go to look for the curvature, and it's not what they're saying it is, at least, right? So I'm just when we determine what shape it is, I think that's a big part of the puzzle, right?
Yeah, I think this is the most. And I like your question. And like I said, this is all real new to me. I've been digging it about 3 years or so, and you know, everybody's got their own perspective. To say I know, I'm going to say it's a flat. You know, that's me. But I think this is the most evilest thing. And I think once the truth is really out there, it blows up everything else. I think this is the main thing, and I wish I did know more. You know, I wish I did know more than other people. I don't, and I'm not going to lie and try to pretend I know more. To me, I'm going what the Bible says, but I think this is one of the most evilest things that they're keeping secret from us. And I think once it's really exposed, it blows all the narratives out of the water. And that's just my opinion. And I'm sorry I don't have a good enough answer for you.
Congratulations, Doug.
But no, that answer's fine. There is no wrong answer. You know, what you believe is what you believe. You know, you ain't got to have the right answer. And sometimes the best answer you can give is, you know, I don't know. Just like you said, there's things I don't know, things I don't understand yet. That's perfect. Don't get no better than that.
Yeah, you got a follower here. I got you, buddy.
I mean, that's what it's about, man. Asking questions and accepting the answers.
So we have Kat with us, or do we have Alan down
You have
here?
us both.
Okay, we got you both. Good. I haven't
Oh
heard
my God, they're
anything from
different
Gentlemen
people.
and flat earthers.
Us crazy flat earthers.
I thought it was only Catalan. Are they separate individuals again? Holy crap!
We're all one and the same. Catalan, Malatak.
No cap.
No one likes that Malatak. I don't know who came up with that nonsense.
Thanks. Is that only because Catalan was your idea?
I mean,
see.
I remain objective with my determination.
I only spelled it backwards so that he could be Catalan and I could be Malatak, but it's okay.
You don't like that crapped on it immediately, so now there's a negative connotation for it with it forever, no matter what happens. That's like what a news station would do to your story if you tried to bring it to them, you know? Just crap on it immediately. Anyway, obviously you guys can hear me now. I was trying to chime in during the Mercator talk when Keith was talking about the Mercator, but I don't think my mic was working, or it was working between browsers here.
Hey, Shane.
What you got?
I heard some lads saying earlier in the comments that you can use the stars to determine what the shape of the Earth is. Do you know anything about that?
Is that what they were saying, or they were saying you can use it to see?
Yeah,
what
they were saying the stars move at 15 degrees per hour, and they set into the horizon, which is also being, you know, the globe. So they're being occluded by the globe curve, something like that. Are you familiar with that?
So people who look up think that Earth's a globe. Is that what you're saying?
That's what they claim.
Yeah, I was wondering if any of those people were in the chat and wanted to come up and talk about how the stars tell us what the shape of the Earth is.
You usually do. They like that topic.
I'll bet one of the 8 anonymous listeners wish they had the courage to come in here and take a mic and ask some questions, but they're going to stay in the anonymous section.
Ken, there's 34.
Dude, I don't see that many either. I see 12. But, you know, shout out, man. We got like 95 people in here. You're going to tell me nobody's a globie down there? Are you all flat earthers?
Damn, 12. I just looked and it was 8. I scrolled down there specifically to see how many was there, and it said 8. She said 34, and you said I see 12. When I go back down there, it's 12.
So how many?
No.
5.
How many hate watchers do you guys think make up that proportion? Like,
Well,
what do you think the ratio of
you
hate
got
watchers
about
are?
you got about 4 FBI, 3 CIA, 2 special forces, and then you probably got a couple Mossad in there, and then maybe BB's hanging out in there too.
You know, because it's me,
No.
you might be right.
Call the faggots out by name. Get up here, Hellcat.
And 2 Jasons going tip to tip.
Isn't that particular kid like 15 or something?
I'm not sure how old he is.
No, he's in
He is
11th grade
17.
now.
Okay, all right.
According to him, he's 17. He still does. I wonder if he learned how to drive yet.
Yeah.
Said he was learning.
But you know what's funniest about that is that most of us can't tell the difference between a normal Glover and a 17-year-old. Now that could go either way, but I'm gonna bank that most Glovers act like 17-year-olds.
You know, you're right. It's hard to tell them apart.
Should be Peter who has a duty to run these spaces because he's the one who made us crazy for years. And now he's fucking changed his mind.
Well, no, he's just such a joke. He just doesn't even pretend to defend the globe anymore. That's kind of what's going on there.
Yeah, now he pretends to be a flat earther.
And if everybody could, please don't forget to hit the reshare button, put a comment in the purple pill, a question that you want answered by some of the speakers on the panel. Any engagement that would be great for the space. Nobody's getting paid to be here, but there's a lot of people that are enjoying the conversation. And I know everybody out there's got some questions, or they want to come up here and say that we're a bunch of idiots. Either side that they're on, post it, reshare it, tag a Globie, tag a flat earther, hit the follow button. Let's get the conversation moving.
Oh, I wanted to ask P-Dubs this question because he's the ringleader of measuring distances with the stars under the assumption you go 69 miles per degree, and that adds up to the radius or the equator to the North Pole, which wouldn't be the same as a flat Earth. I'm sure you guys have heard this a million times, Shane and Alan, but could you elaborate why that doesn't make the Earth a ball? What P-Dubs is saying? I'm sorry.
P-Dubs is one of those people that I heard like one time and blocked immediately, I think, because I don't have any of his stuff memorized. I don't know what he's talking about. I never heard most of his arguments, but if I heard him once, I might remember. But yeah, 69 miles per degree. Like I like how people who use backwards math. So the way that you get 69 miles per degree is you divide the equatorial circumference of the model by 360. And then later you're like, hey, it adds up to 360. Boom, that's my number, bro. And it's like, yeah, that's where it came from. But the basic argument is that that's a linear relationship. They say that the stars recede at that because the Earth is a curve, and that they don't recede at that rate because of perspective, even though everything else on the Earth does so at the same rate because of perspective. Tall buildings, mountains, street lights, depending on the observer level, everything that you see at your eye level would do that. So when they say it specifically doesn't apply to the stars, that's fallacy. I think it's special pleading to say, yeah, it works that way with everything else, but not the stars. And then they say that the reason that it does that 69 miles per degree, the reason why it precesses in the sky as you traverse along the surface of the Earth, is that the surface of the Earth is curving at that rate because it has to be linear. Now, that distance isn't actually linear, right? It's only linear between a certain bandwidth between where it would be linear on your vision. So you got like below 15 degrees, above 70 degrees. You got correction, sight lines, refraction tables, all sorts of things. So you don't actually get to use that linear part. A good example is like half a degree above the horizon. It's not going to recede at exactly the same rate, precessing at 15 degrees per hour. There's corrections for all that. So what they do is they give you your vision, and they say that you can see forever, and you apply, based on where you see the star, it's always going to be 69 miles per degree forever. That's what linear means. And then they give you correction tables for the areas where it's not linear. So like say if you have a logarithmic light graph where it approaches zero but doesn't quite get there, then for a certain stretch of that, it would be linear. And when it's not linear, you get correction tables. So everything that you're using your optics for to measure 69 miles per degree is corrected to incorporate the correctness of 69 miles per degree, so that when it isn't that, you have your adjustments to make it so that it is that. And on top of all that, equatorial circumference isn't actually specific to globe Earth. I mean, an equator would be, but that is the one line on either model that is exactly equidistant no matter what. Just like how the north in the flat Earth model would equal the globe. The north is the north. There is no real discrepancy. That's why all the arguments have to do with the south. So the equatorial circumference can be the exact same distance on both models, and nobody would care. It wouldn't matter at all. So it's a really weird argument.
I really appreciate that, Shane, and I'm not going to pretend like I understood what you said. I probably have to listen back to it like 8 times. But I love how Globies, and I asked it last night. I'm like, dude, you didn't know what Shane said? He's like, yeah. I'm like, what do you say? He's like, I don't know. So that's where they just slapped the word salad label on. But to steal, man, the counter of this stuff, a lot of times is a little harder said than done. So I applaud Shane and Alan for being in this space to educate us. Thank you very much.
You know, what was I going to say there?
While you're thinking, though, I will put in that I still look back fondly upon the very first day that I got my first word salad badge. It's such an accomplishment, you know.
I
when
do
you're
too,
talking to
Stone.
Globies,
I remember too. Yeah.
When they outright admit to you indirectly exactly how ignorant they are, it's a joy.
Somebody threw an insult at me the first time that was like, what do you like, Witsit? And I was like, oh, thank you. Because I was brand new and hadn't talked to anyone. I was like, oh, what a compliment. I must be doing
Wait,
it right.
I didn't have my dick in my hand. Say it again. Oh.
And they say it's because
they heralded it, as if it was an insult. Then it was like, oh, you mean that I spoke really like coherently with logically cohesive, correct words with lingo? That's great, nice.
Hey, Stone, was that when you grilled that one guy in a presentation on FEF, Flat Earth Friday? That guy at social media, you remember that guy?
It was. I'm so glad you also remember it.
That was the best presentation.
I will cherish that.
He was in our space that week before, and he was just all riled up, and you just put him in his place, and that was the greatest thing ever. And he was really new to the conversation, but he was all rambunctious and gung-ho, and you just sat him down like a toddler. So, I remember that.
It was such a pleasure. Yes. Thank you. Thank you again.
You know, a couple of years ago, there would only be maybe 5 or 6 people in this space, and now there's 100 listening in. Let's get this space liked, retweeted, because I think a lot more people these days are starting to wake up. They've been lied to for lots and lots of years. The math isn't mathing up, and the truth is starting to come out.
Come out.
I was going to say that.
It's going to come out to right in your boat.
This is the other thing about being Canadian. You get sold a climate change crisis with only 41 million people in your entire country, and it's enormous, and everything's green. It's lovely.
It is funny. They actually wrote a book about that. It's like the Club of Rome put out a book that was like, hey, how do we blame all the world's problems on the people themselves? And they were like, oh, you know what? You know what could be? That you are the problem because of the climate, and then we'll blame them. They like literally like speculated and then like told like a fictional story and then put it in a book that they were going to do it. And then 10 years later, they enacted it on the public, and people are like, oh, I guess if I pay carbon taxes, the weather will be gooder.
Well, it's the best Yeah, it's the best marketing, right? Because there's a hurricane, climate change. It's cold out maybe the next season when it's supposed to be a little bit warmer. Climate change. And they can just always use that as a narrative to generate fear, to just say, hey, give me your money. And I don't know. A lot of the world is starting to wake up. I'm glad the U.S. is starting to get out in front of it and say that they're calling it for what it is, really.
Well, you remember when it was the other way? That the needle was totally swinging in the other direction in terms of public. They were talking about global warming.
Yep.
Global warming was the threat for so long. But isn't that absolutely wasted energy on a population who live north of 49, who are constantly freezing their fucking asses off? And you're like,
Thank you.
Global warming, dude. I'm like, yeah, sign me up. I'm going to buy an extra car.
Yeah, like how much land would you actually open up to vegetation and growing more crops and opening up more land for
tourism?
food?
Precisely.
Man,
it's hilarious.
They're telling us that it was global warming. They changed it to climate change. But global warming, it was like, oh no, hairspray, you guys are using too much Aquanet there. And we had some big hair, so it was like a legitimate, we kind of believed that shit because there was a lot of fucking hairspray. I ain't gonna lie, man. Fucking 80s was crazy. But, you got Al Gore saying, oh, all the ice caps are gonna melt and we're gonna lose all the polar bears and stuff. And, he's got a mansion with like 6 ACs on it. And
dude, he's got 3.
it's like, and we got lots of polar bears and a lot of ice, and it's pretty cold up in Canada still, right?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure the ice caps just grew ice for the first time in a bunch of years. I don't have the study out in front of me or the article, but
you don't need it. The polar bear population over northern Russia is exploded. They're having hunting seasons and shit because the bears are moving in and taking over. They're kicking the humans out there, so many of them. It's like, oh, now I see it. All right.
Moral of the story, if it was to get warmer, that would be a blessing, my opinion.
Is it climate change or is it climate control? They want to control the weather. And, that's something that we should kind of, talk about with, everything that we've been talking about tonight is how they're manipulating our weather, with the floods. They said it was fires, but we know how they all started, So what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I think they do weather modification.
You forgot HARP.
Yeah, HARP.
Yeah, it's easy to make you're the bad person. When if you don't think you're the bad person, we'll just make it rain harder. Or like, hey, you guys like food? Well, how about this heat wave? Oh, it doesn't last that long. We'll just make it last a little bit longer. You guys like the Dust Bowl? Okay, we're gonna make it another Dust Bowl. So like, you're not listening. Listen harder. It's a great tool.
And even in they said it in Forrest Gump, man. And then one day it started raining, and it lasted for like 6-8 months or something like that.
That's how the Noah's flood started in the Bible.
I've seen they've done that in Canada a bunch of times this summer, and it was very noticeable. They start spraying the skies. They never used to do that, and then all of a sudden clouds start rolling in, and midsummer in the warmest places, you'd start to see hail chunks on numerous occasions, and that was very uncommon. And I don't know, coincidence, spraying the skies. But the other thing you got to keep in mind is the aluminum content that those planes are emitting, and then that's going into agriculture, which is then getting shipped off to you and I. So it's not good for your brain either. So it's something
the
to
photographers are talking about contrails. I love that. I love that for you. I guess my mic's working now.
Ooh, it sounds like a Glover. Welcome, bud.
Hey, hi. With 2 things. One, the hairspray thing with chlorofluorocarbons. Nothing to do with global warming. Has everything to do with the ozone layer. So those are 2 separate problems. But what you were talking about,
a big old hole in that bad boy, man, with Aquanet.
Yes, it's getting better now because we pretty much reduced to the use of those products.
Just real quick, man. Real quick, what shape do you think the Earth is?
Well, I think you just proved that the Earth is a globe by that long answer.
Well, I think I could tell right away you were a globey the way you came in the conversation, tried to hijack it, and then what do you mean? I asked you a simple question, man. Are you all offended because you can't provide any evidence?
Well, why are you muting me in the middle of my response? You asked me a
question.
I
knew you. I knew that was. I knew that
really
was going to be your response. I knew that was going to be your response. Just try to chill out. Yeah, I'm going to pass it off to Cage. Go ahead, Cage.
So, why is it you think what proved it was a globe? What?
Am I going to be allowed to speak now, or are you going to mute me again really quick?
I told him to back off on that, man.
Okay, cool,
you have the reins. Continue on, good sir.
Yeah, so the answer you gave before, where you're talking about the ratio of miles to arcs in the to like arc seconds, I guess, in the sky will vary depending upon the latitude that the observer is at, right? So a global model predicts that. A flat Earth model doesn't. You just conceded that we have a global model. So, like, I think we're done here, actually.
So would you like to? Who was the one that brought that? Was that Alan or Sean?
Yeah, Green, you're just not paying attention to the points being made, man, or you don't understand them.
Illuminate.
That's what
So
you're telling us.
explain how that works in your model, then, please.
What are you trying to say that we can't
The
have
silence is
elevation?
deafening.
We
The
can't-
floor
we
is
can't
yours.
have-
Please explain how a flat Earth
Are
model.
you going to talk right to
will
me or what, dude?
Are you guys talking
I'm-
about? Are you guys talking about how the stars change positions, like 60 nautical miles per degree? Is that what you guys are talking about?
Is that what you're questioning there?
Oh, perfect.
Green?
Perfect. So our assertion is that that's an optical phenomenon based off of a radius of vision, and it's just mapped to the same thing. So often when you guys see something, setting into the horizon, you'll be like, oh, it's a globe or whatever. And if you see it above the horizon and its true position is below the geometric horizon, it'll be mapped to negative coordinates. But its apparent position, the position that you see, will be quote unquote astronomically refracted up. So they have a value for that. So you guys will be like, okay, well, the real position of the star relative to the observer it's below Earth curve, but it's also being lifted up above Earth curve. And what you can do is you can go into like Stellarium or whatever your favorite astronomy tool is. You could pick a star that sets and have it set into the horizon, and you can turn on and off refraction, so you can toggle it on and off to see the difference between the true and the apparent there. And what you can do is you can get the true position down to like negative 30 something arc minutes, and then the apparent position will finally be negative 1 arc will be negative coordinates as well. So they're saying that basically as the true position of a star gets would be lower than the actual physical Earth based on where the observer's at, that it's being lifted up by this astronomical refraction correction amount. And what we've done is we've come up with a way to test that and see if it's true or not by using mountains to occlude the star. Because if both of our positions are that the stars, the way that we perceive them, if that's just an optical effect versus due to the ground being curved at the same rate, then just watching things set into the horizon won't tell us anything unique. But when we have mountains that have, oh, fucking hell, it just disconnected me.
No, you're good.
There you go. We hear you, dude.
We're still there.
You didn't hear me?
You're still there, man.
My back? Okay. It did the
you
thing.
never left. You never left. You're still there.
It did the thing where it refreshed me out. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, by using mountain peaks, because those are going to have a specific elevation that's model dependent. So flat Earth would predict no drop over distance, whereas globe would predict some amount of drop over distance based off of, the distance between you and the mountain peak. And you could figure all that out using central angle theorem, which is our preferred method of doing it, because then we get exactly what the globe quote unquote predicts, etc. So anyway, that's so weird that it keeps refreshing. Are you guys still hear me though? It just did it again. I just want to double check.
Yep. No, you're
Yeah,
good.
for sure. It's going to keep dropping the window down and up, and because you have my compression off, you know what I mean? Like we did the switch.
Yep.
That's as far as the bug goes. We've stopped it.
Oh, wow.
So let it do its little twitchy thing and just ignore that shit. We all hear you.
Thanks, Elon.
So Green, are you going to demonstrate you weren't listening by asking the same question, or what's going on here?
Well, let Alan finish.
Yeah, I almost reached the point. So if we're using a map and astronomer tools that are based off of mapping the position, like how we see the stars based off of either time or distance traversed, then just watching the observation alone can't tell us anything. But because the occlusion timings based off of the elevations of mountains give us a way to distinguish between the two models, because the stars are going to be occluded at different times for each model. Because if you're an observer on a globe, then the mountain peak is going to be, let's just take 200 meters for an example. The mountain peak is 50 kilometers away, so it's going to be 200 meters lower than you. So what that means is the true position of the star is going to intersect with that mountain peak way before it would on a flat Earth, because the cause of the star changing elevation is the Earth curvature between you and the mountain peak as the Earth rotates away. So it's a physical elevation change that the globe is claiming based off of that. So they predicted an earlier time. And what we found through, I think, what is it now? 9 different peaks with like close to 50 measurements, because some stars will hit the same peak over and over again, so we could get an average or whatever on that. But anyway, we've got like 50 measurements of the true position at the time of occlusion intersecting with an elevation that corresponds to no drop over distance every time. So in other words, the globe is failing to make the correct occlusion prediction, and the flat Earth model is making the correct prediction. In other words, the stars aren't physically changing elevation relative to you. It's an apparent change, and that's noted by the intersection difference between our two models for the occlusions. Go ahead.
So, what do you think about that, Green Knight?
Yeah, I'm curious what the mechanism for this. What did you call it? Astronomical refraction. Like what's producing that?
Cooked.
Oh, well, you're asking about astronomical refraction. That's a great question. So in the
I've
globe,
never heard of that before.
yeah, so it's different from terrestrial refraction. So if you were like a surveyor or doing things on the ground, anything below your eye level is considered terrestrial refraction. And the way that they calculate that is by lapse rate, which is basically just temperature and pressure in a vertical reading. So like as the gradient changes as you increase elevation, that's what they base how much terrestrial refraction there's going to be, and that extends. I forget the exact amount, but at some point, as you get higher, it starts to drop off, like a few hundred, or not a few hundred, like a few kilometers up. It starts to drop off, and then it becomes like, quote unquote, this is their terminology. It becomes disconnected from the layers above it, which would be like the tropospheric layers and whatnot. So they have a different computational model for how they compute astronomical refraction. And that is the amount, astronomical refraction is the angular difference between the quote unquote true position of the star and the apparent position, which is the the light that you do see. Now, the 15 degree per hour position the true position follows 15 degrees per hour, and so it'll complete a full circle in 24 hours. But the apparent position, as it gets lower in elevation towards the horizon, it stops following that relationship. So what they have is it's a literal curve fit formula that they have that starts. It has temperature and pressure in it to start, like with the baseline, but the rest of the variables in it are computed via curve fit to make it be whatever it has to be to maintain the 15 degree per hour relationship. So earlier when I was telling you about how you can go into stellarium and set a star, and you could watch the refraction amount increase as the true position gets more negative below the horizon, it comes up to about 30 to 33 arc minutes before the apparent position also goes negative. So they basically invoke however much refraction they need, not as a measured amount through any sort of empirical readings, but to curve fit what it has to be. And I've read through what would you call it? Like the papers where they talk about how the formulas and everything are derived for all of that. And it starts with a computational model, assuming the radius of Earth. And then they start off at the center of the ball with 0 elevation, and then they build the whole ball up starting from the literal center of it all the way up to the surface, and then they extend it 20 kilometers past that, and they have a whole smooth static gradient that doesn't move, conforms to sphericity and all that, and they make some air density assumptions that make it all so that whatever they need the angle to be basically is what it'll come out to be to maintain usefulness on the globe. That's kind of what Shane was talking about earlier when he was saying that they say that that's a linear relationship for the 60 nautical miles per degree, but that only exists in a certain wave band that would be about 65 to about 30 degrees in elevation. Right around there, you'll see like the lowest amounts of quote unquote astronomical refraction, meaning not much angular separation between the true and the apparent position. But as it gets lower in elevation, in particular sub 15 degrees, that's when all their computational models kind of break down, and they have to use these specific curve fit formulas that are tailored specifically to explain the angular difference between their 15 degree per hour rate and what's observed. And so we have a really nice way to test that based off of occlusion timings, because basically if the star is setting into the mountain, there's no difference between that and how it would set into Earth curve for the observer. So if they go as far as to say that a star could be refracted up above geometric ball curve by 30 arc minutes, then it should definitely be able to, um, be above a mountain peak for an extended period of time before it actually gets occluded for them. So, uh, we can test that with these measurements.
Okay, sure. So if I understand what you're saying, it's that not only does this phenomenon exist, but the degree to which this phenomenon exists depends upon how high up in the sky the observer is looking from whatever position that they're at. Is that correct? Is that what you were saying?
Yep, and the cause of the phenomenon is like what's in contention here. So like you guys would say atmospheric conditions, and make all the assumptions about the air density and all that stuff to get the formula to fit what you to fit what's observed. And we would just say that it's an optical effect, as like we don't see in perfect spherical vision, we don't see in perfect linear vision. It's a combination of the things. It's actually since the late 1800s, there's a lot of studies on optics and perception and how we perceive things, and there's various models to model out vision, and they all fail at different distances and in different circumstances. So we kind of take the position that it's more of a logarithmic scale, where it has linear portions, hyperbolic portions, and extreme curves, and then it goes asymptotic, which the asymptotic would be where the star is close to the horizon, but it's not setting at that same rate, and it's just kind of lingering. We assert that that's because the star is just moving away from you, rather than going down because of ball curve.
Right. So if what you're saying is true, and that rate will vary depending upon how high up in the sky that you're looking, why does that? So that would also predict that as an observer moves from along the surface, east to west or north to south, etc., the rate at which stars move across the sky would change, even though the observer is moving at a constant rate across the globe. But we don't see that if we were to do that, right? Like it is in fact a constant rate. So why would you hold to that model if that doesn't predict what we would actually observe?
Yeah, it's not for the apparent position. That's why they have the extreme corrections when they get low to the horizon. They don't follow that linear relationship.
Right, but did you understand what I'm saying? According to your model, the rate at which those stars are observed, moving in the sky would change.
Yeah, it's the exact same as it's the exact same as what we observe now. There's no difference.
No, your model would in fact predict that, as I move from east to west, at a certain point, as those stars are moving in the sky, the rate at which they climb, according to the observer's perspective, would change over time. Like it would start small, and then it would look like the stars are actually accelerating higher and higher into the sky, even though you're moving at a constant rate, right? But that doesn't happen.
No, I'm not sure what you're saying. So let me try and break it down, like what's happening here. So there's a latitude dependent variance for the apparent position, right?
Right, and a latitude dependent variance would be predicted by a global model. Yes.
It's also predicted by a flat Earth model, because what we're seeing, right? You think you're looking directly at a star, whereas we're saying that's the apparent position of it. So there's no, it's not an issue for us.
But it is an issue for you because of flat Earth model. You would actually predict that everything is visible at the same time.
No,
I'm sorry.
One second. No, we don't. Well,
stop muting me.
Listen. When we were discussing earlier about the whole radius of vision thing, that's what creates the latitude dependent effects from the source of whatever is projecting the stars. That's our position. So the latitude dependent observations aren't mutually exclusive to anything. What is mutually exclusive is the occlusion timings of stars. Because if the Earth is a globe, as asserted, and if the globe is truly the causal mechanism of latitude-dependent observations, then there must certainly be a difference in occlusion timings. Would you agree? Like if the mountain's physically lower than you, and the stars geometrically aligned with the globe earlier because it, that's what it predicts for the geometric intersection. Would you agree that the globe has a different prediction timing for an occlusion than what flat Earth does?
Yes, and the problem is that, as you just said, that astral refraction effect is greater as as you're observing something higher in the sky relative to the horizon,
Perfect.
right? So the
Perfect.
effect is smaller at the horizon, and it's
No,
stronger
it's greater.
as it moves higher.
No, much greater at the horizon. You got it backwards. But
okay, all right, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
fine. But
good.
it's variable in either case, right? Like it's
Yeah,
greater at the horizon, and it's smaller as you look overhead.
Right, but we know, but the important part.
Please, I let you speak. Please allow me to speak.
The important part, though, is that we know how much the time difference is, so we still know the exact rate at which it happens. So it's not like a mystery, right? It's not sneaking up on us.
Right, but what you're saying is that rate is variable as you move along any given latitude line, correct? But it's not in the reality. Like if you were to move from east to west at, like, let's say 400 miles an hour, your model would predict that as that star is moving from the horizon to, like, let's say, 30 degrees up in the sky, it's going to be moving at a X rate. And then 10 degrees after that, it's going to be moving at a little bit less than X, X minus 20%. And then an extra 10 degrees, then it's moving X minus 40%. But we don't see that. That's not how stars move as you move along a latitude line. It's a constant.
Yeah, there's not a rate that we predict that's model dependent. That's just the rate of the stars. And because we know the rate of the stars, we know that there's going to be different occlusion timings per model, which is the important part here. So now that and also,
your model is not predictive, then like what use is it? You're just kludging together like fairy dust to try and account for the fact that like your model behaves exactly like a global model, but you'd like to claim that it's not.
Oh, but it doesn't.
Well, here's the thing though, right? We have already established there's going to be mutually exclusive occlusion timings. And number two, we actually don't use the apparent position. We use the true position for the intersection to get the occlusions. Like the same way that they predict eclipses. Did you know that when they predict eclipses, they use the quote unquote true position of the sun and the moon, which just means it's unrefracted position as if there was no atmosphere. So they make that for their prediction, and then there's some variance in the angle in which you see it and whatnot due to actual conditions and whatnot. But the actual predictions are made using the true positions. So what we do is we reference the star's true position and when it's going to geometrically align with the peak. And now for every example, like I can send you a spreadsheet if you want to take a look at the data real quick. I know it would be hard to try and make a bunch of examples that you've never seen and stuff before or whatever, but the globe has a certain intersection window for timing, and it's never hit its mark even close. It's often off by 2 minutes, 1 to 2 minutes. And our predictions are always way less than what's predicted to be off. So like, for example, for the one I was kind of talking about earlier with 50 kilometers in difference with 200 meters of elevation difference, the globe predicts an occlusion like 2 minutes and 30 seconds earlier. And they were off by that entire amount. Whereas our prediction, keeping the 200 meters of elevation, we were only off by 11 seconds. And that trend continues for all measurements. The geometric intersections don't cause any occlusions for the globe in the way that it would be necessary for it to. Because like the way that it works with central angle and all of that, I don't know how familiar you are with the backbone of the globe and whatnot, but basically there's a specific amount of curvature per distance. And the difference in our measurement is the globe will be off by most of Earth curvature, or it'll be off by 2 to 3 times the amount of Earth curvature, whereas we'll only be off by, way less than that. But the difference between what we predict in our measurements and what's actually measured comes out to be the half central angle. So we know that what we're doing is like mathematically solid, and it's a good model comparison because our air difference is the same half central angle. So whatever we derive based on the occlusion timing, like we share that same common air, and the air is always on the globe side, meaning you guys missed your occlusion intersection window. So the whole hypothesis about the stars have to behave this way because it's a globe exclusively is untenable, because if it was and it did behave that way, then the occlusion timing, it would be the reverse essentially. We would share the globe curvature error, and you guys would be way closer, and I would be on here arguing celestial theodolite as a in the globe position stance.
Remember when I said you're going to ask the same question to demonstrate you weren't listening the first time he was speaking? No offense, this is kind of hard stuff to get the first time, right? But you're just saying the stars don't work on a globe or on a flat Earth like they would on a globe, and you can't even articulate a question as to how. You're just saying, no, that's what at least I'm hearing. Can you understand what Alan's saying about the time inclusion, Green Man?
It sounds like you're not really listening to what I'm saying.
Well, can you hear about? Do you know about the
It
time
sounds like
inclusion?
my question went over your head.
He's explained to you the time inclusion 3 times now. Do you know what he's talking about yet, or not?
I've asked 2 different questions that have still remained unanswered. One, the first was the mechanism that accomplishes this effect that you're trying to describe. That
It was answered immediately.
That was
It's the
first
radius
question.
of vision.
The second question was, as we as observers were to move east to west along any given parallel, we would expect, according to your model, that the stars would move at a variable rate as they go from the horizon towards the apex of the sky. But that's not true. That's not how stars work. As we were.
Wait, why would that have to be the case? That's a straw man. Why would that have to be the case?
He literally said that would be the case because it's the effect is stronger at the horizon than it is at the apex of the sky.
Yeah,
that's
when
literally his words. So no, but please answer either of those questions, and if you can,
so
I'll leave here more convinced of your position, right? But
So for the third time,
if you go off on some other,
make sure you have your ears open this time. So for the first one,
please, yes.
Radius of vision, right? So if we have a radius of vision, it's going to create the same latitude dependent optical effects that you would be asserting is globe. And for the
here's the answer you should be phrasing. The mechanism that accomplishes this is, and then you describe the mechanism.
The mechanism that accomplished this is the mechanism for this is you have a radius of vision, and then I talked about how
this is a concession as far as I'm concerned.
Dude, buddy, look at your follower count compared to his.
So when I was talking about the radius of vision and how since the late 1890s they've been coming up with different models to describe how we see things, because basic way to explain it would be train tracks appear to converge at a distance, but we know that they're physically parallel. So there's different models that have been proposed to explain why they don't follow Euclidean geometry, why our vision doesn't follow Euclidean geometry. And so there's spherical models, there's hyperbolic models with negative curvature. There's what's the other one? There's the Vith-Muller torus, which kind of makes like a latitude and longitude sphere. So it's like as you look further out into the horizon, there's more optical compression is basically what they're saying. Like the further things are, it's the rate of which things optically compress. And then I talked about how our position is that it's not negative curvature or spherical curvature. It's a logarithmic scale that's, kind of dynamic, and at different elevations or distances and sizes and whatnot, there's going to be different scaling to how that applies optically. That's our position. So when I went over that twice, and then you said that's never been answered, and haha, and kind of scoffed at it, and then called it a concession, it's like that makes me really bored and disinterested with the convo, because it made me realize that when you agreed that there's different occlusion timings, and then you found out that all the occlusion timings don't actually go to the globe, you didn't have any interest in that. You started going back to things that were irrelevant. You started saying that if you move at 400 miles per hour laterally, the stars are gonna like all this dumb shit. And it's like, dude, if you don't want to know the data, then then why are you here to ask about it? If you're like, if you're just gonna be like, I didn't hear anything, it's stupid.
Imagine having the hubris.
Imagine
having the hubris just to laugh as soon as you start talking for the third time after you ask the third question, and he can't steel man one thing you said. He can't. He has no clue what you're talking about, and he laughs in your face. It's really, man. It's not the way to approach any argument or any discussion.
Yeah, I honestly have no idea what you're talking about with your spreadsheet. It sounds like you're trying to describe instrumentation problems and bad math related to that, but without actually looking at this GWiz spreadsheet, I couldn't say for certain. But
I will link you this.
I feel compelled to point out, you still have not provided a mechanism right? The thing
Yeah.
that does this. Like, what's the thing that does that? You're just
Your
describing what your observations are. You're
eyes.
not. You're
Your
not.
eyes. You have
what do
a
you mean?
radius of vision.
So
People
why
for
don't my eyes
hundreds of
do that all the time when I'm looking at things that are, right overhead? Like
what?
planes don't do that either. So like, what are you talking about?
Dude,
Buddy,
did you
how much
not did you not understand when I was talking about how it's not a linear relationship at different angle sections? There it's linear and then not linear, etc. Like the whole conversation, it seemed like you absorbed none of it or even bothered to ask for clarification on it. Like if you didn't understand what I was saying, so like
Why would I be interested? But that
your
has nothing to do with my question. I'm interested in the answer to my question, and you're just waffling around and refusing to address it. Like you're going
I
off
think what he's trying to say
describing
here, Alan,
the
is
effect
he
of these
doesn't like your
observations without
answer,
actually
so he
describing
wants you to keep
so
repeating.
so
what
you know
caused. No, I'm
so
begging him to stop repeating himself.
can
All he's
you
doing
can you stop
Hey,
interrupting me,
hey,
please?
answering my
Green
question.
Hey,
Knight. Hey,
Green,
hey,
Green.
everybody, hold on, real quick. Stone, for some reason, it's not letting me bring you up here. Try to reset and come back. But you seem to be aggressively misunderstanding or not listening there, Green Knight. There, is there
I'm
a
listening
specific?
to everything he says.
I don't really think you are. The way you,
but he's not listening to my question. And
keep
he's
on
refusing to
interrupting
answer it,
everybody
and that
when
speaks for
they're just
itself.
talking, so you can just keep on muscling on through, dude. I don't know what your problem here is, but if there was one specific point that you got lost on that we can go over for you, maybe stick with that, and then we can go on to a second point. Because it seems
Yes.
like
The one point is, what is the
you-
mechanism that accomplishes that?
your eyeballs, man. You're looking through stuff. You're looking at it.
Okay, great, excellent.
You
So
know,
as a plane
so
moves
let me ask you a
from the
question.
horizon
Hey,
to
green,
the sky, we should have that same
green,
refractory period.
green. Stop. So would you agree
You're
that,
really tense. Are you okay?
No, are you okay, dude? You just seem to want to talk over everybody, bro.
Yo, I
It's not-
can't stand this talking over
you're-
everyone dog shit. It's like it's literal audio diarrhea.
It really is, dude. So
you're talking nonstop.
Dude, you're literally doing it every single time somebody speaks, man. I'm going to be talking here for a minute. I'm going to ask you a question. While I'm doing this, mute your mic, Green, please. I appreciate it. So we have a mountain on a flat plane. That peak of the mountain is going to be in a certain position. If it's on a globe, it has to be in another position. Would you agree with that statement?
Sure, but this has nothing to do with my question.
It has everything to
Yeah.
do with it because we're talking about
in fact,
optical
it doesn't. I
phenomenon
asked
and
a
whether
question
the
about
change
planes,
in
and you're talking
elevation
about
is
mountains.
physical. It sounds like you're talking over me.
I'm asking about planes.
Man,
You're talking about mountains.
Every time I've tried to even talk about the plane,
Is
you started
a plane a
started
mountain?
talking over me. Dude, I'm not going to play games with you and play the who can talk over one another the most
All
because
you're
that's
doing is
that's one of
playing
my
games. You're
favorite games.
terrified of answering my question.
I've tried.
Hold on a second. I'm going to go ahead and let you ask your question incomplete. Everybody, don't talk over this guy. Let him ask his question. That way we can all hear his question. That way he can't say we didn't hear his freaking question because he wants to say it a flat plane now. So continue on with your question. That way we can hear it 100% for you there, Green Machine.
You'd like me to repeat my question?
Yes, I would like you to repeat your question. That's why I said repeat the
time.
question.
So if after I repeated myself
Yes, I would like you to
it'll
repeat the
soak into your
fucking
brain.
question.
Why are you cursing and screaming?
Because you're fucking annoying right now. All right?
You seem kind of triggered.
No, I'm not triggered. Ask your question.
Yeah, how about you just
I'm
give
not
us your
triggered.
damn
Don't print in the
question
papers I
and
was triggered.
Quit crying about how many times you got to say it.
So anyway, again regarding
it was
the
actually this
plane,
easy.
there's gonna
So
be
here's the
dude, you
question.
gotta stop. Can I just answer the question? I've heard it 4 times. I don't need you to ask it again.
He just told
You're
me that I
asking
should
about
ask
the.
my question
I don't give
for
a.
everyone, and you're speaking over me. But go ahead.
I don't care. I don't care. So listen, for the 5th time, I'm going to try and answer this now regarding the plane. The plane doesn't move at 15 degrees per hour. That's a celestial body. They're way higher in altitude than the plane. And secondly, the planes go like when an observer is looking at the plane at its zenith, and there's an observer, much further away and the angle is going to be different for them, they're going to derive different elevations to the physical plane. So none of how a plane moving in the sky and being seen at different angles proves anything. You're avoiding the actual subject, which is the difference in occlusion timings.
Okay, great. So here's the problem with what you just said. Your explanation for the mechanism that accomplishes this, as you said, it's your eyes. So if that was true, then we would expect that same phenomenon to apply to planes, because I'm using my eyes to observe them, right? But now you're saying through some method of special pleading that stars work differently from planes, even though I'm using my eyes. So I'm going to repeat the previous question, because now we must discard the first explanation of mechanism, right? Because now it's not just my eyes. Now there's something else that happens between planes and stars that you're just refusing to describe. So let's go back again and let's see if you can come up with an answer this time. What is the mechanism that accomplishes this astral refraction that doesn't also apply to airplanes?
It's still the exact same thing, and I don't appreciate the long-winded rhetoric of just hand wave dismissing my explanation and then slowly repeating your same question so that I get agitated to try and annoy me. So the answer to your question, again, maybe if I speak really slowly like you were doing, it'll it will have the reverse effect. So here's the thing. When the plane is moving above you, it's at your 90 degrees. When it gets further away from you, it's at a different angle. When there's multiple observers viewing the plane at different angles, they're going to get different altitudes. The plane isn't moving at the same speed the stars are moving. So to say that the stars are a special pleading, we're talking about a different thing. We're talking about the movement of the celestial bodies and their known fixed variables that create the globe model. You're talking about a plane flying overhead at different altitudes that has and the same optical effect happens with that, as I just went over. If you're looking at it at its zenith, you're going to get a specific altitude. If you're looking at it from different angles, you're going to get different altitudes. These are all apparent positions, and the same exact apparency also occurs in the sky. Now, back to the original claim here that we were talking about. You agreed that there will be mutually exclusive timings for each model. The models that predict the correct occlusions is the flat Earth model. So we need to focus on why the stars are making geometric intersections with an elevation in time that doesn't correspond to a globe Earth model, which, as you asserted earlier, is the entire reason that the stars change positions.
So can we back up to what you were saying before about airplanes?
Nope, we can back up to what. Nope.
No, you went off on this rant.
No, we can back up to where we were talking about the mountains and the stars. It sounds like you don't want to talk about the thing and you want to focus on not the thing.
Well, there's a reason for that.
That's so weird that you're not talking about the thing.
Your questions, bro, just demonstrate you have no clue what the fuck's going on. You can't even formulate a coherent.
That's weird because you couldn't answer it. So what does that say about you?
You answered your question.
I think he does.
No, he didn't, and I'm about to explain why.
Actually, I think he does understand what's going on. I think he understands Alan perfectly, and he realizes that the occlusion timings don't match a globe. So he does not want to talk about occlusion timings with stars because it refutes his preferred model. It's evidence against what he has. So instead, he wants to talk about an airplane that does not move at 15 degrees per hour like the stars. It's going to change angles much, much quicker. And he wants to go to something that has nothing fucking whatsoever to do with the shape of the Earth, because that's exactly what Alan is
laid out by the model according to what you.
Now you're going to find out real quick. You're not talking to Alan. You're talking to a co-host, and I can mute you. You can't talk over me. Now, I was speaking, and I don't care who you think you are, but I'm tired of you just interrupting anybody and everybody and trying to chuckle your way through this. You're ignoring the fact that what he's describing to you is a test of the geometry of the Earth. And you're all the things that are used. Your globe fails to predict the occlusion timing. That's the problem. Because they're mutually exclusive. The difference in angle to the mountaintop on a plane and that same mountaintop on a curved earth where it's going to drop over distance is different. So there is no mixing of the two. It's either going to match the globe prediction that says the actual location of the mountaintop is much lower, or it's going to match the flat earth, which says it's much higher. And it consistently shows that the occlusion timing matches the flat earth prediction. Now you can try and skip around it, dance around it, and talk about airplanes all you want. But he's told it to you a bunch of times and you just don't want to talk about it. So, add something, be constructive, quit being a dick, and talk like a normal human being.
He's latching on to one thing that he said. Oh, refraction's different at different elevations. So now he thinks he's got some big gotcha with being in a plane, but he doesn't understand what Alan's even saying to begin with.
Now his point doesn't even make sense.
I never said anything about being in a plane.
Is that Peter? What's up?
What's up, beasticles?
Oh, I thought it was the bad Peter. Phew, this is much better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can be the
Freaked me out for a second there.
Yeah. I was like, no,
You
wait.
guys don't know how it is on a globe.
No.
Oh no.
So what's the next subject here, guys? Like, is there more land on Earth, or what's going on here? What's the panel saying?
I'm not a extra lander really, but other
Same.
people are. But doesn't really
They could be
matter.
hiding. They could be hiding land for sure, like in the ocean, or just straight up be building underground, which I think they're more likely just building underground. Like imagine skyscrapers, but like beneath the earth.
I just want to point out to Alan's point, you don't have to be an extra lander to think the Earth's flat. So don't think you got to be on all board with all this stuff. We just see way too far. But I'm all there with you, Beasticles. And yeah, they're showing us with the movies with the Hollow Earth and the bunkers. But something's going on.
Well, we've only explored 10% of our oceans, and who's ever really measured the oceans? And we don't know how big those suckers are. So who knows what's out there? There's a reason why we don't get to go very far. But do you understand what's going on now, Green Knight there? Are you still lost?
Well, I don't think you listened to a thing Alan said about the cell theo and physical occlusion timings.
I find that accusation hilarious after someone got on and said that I was talking about someone being in a plane. It's so clear that as time has gone on, how little you're absorbing about what I'm actually asking.
So are you able to
go back to, as you start screeching and jumping up and down about your occlusion timings table, instead of answering a very simple.
Dude, I don't know what your deal is, but I asked you a question. Are you on? Do you understand what was being told to you? Yes or no?
Yes, and I directly addressed that earlier.
Can you do us a favor?
Yes, your claim is that.
Oh,
dude, stop interrupting. What the fuck is wrong with fucking people? Seriously. Can you steal, man, what Alan said, please, so we know that you know?
Yo, wait. Your actual response, hold on, I didn't catch that. You're right. Your actual response to what I said about the timing difference was instrument error. That's what that you said. That's what your reputation to self to. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Okay, thank you.
He smoked a joint and he hopped in here. Okay, guys.
Hold on a minute there, Canada. There, can you steal, man, what Alan said?
That was your rebuttal? Performative outbursts of laughter.
Yeah, dude. Seriously, are you even an adult right now, dude? Can you steal, man, what Alan said? Please.
Yes, his claim is that his model better predicts this factor called occlusive timings than a global model, which I've seen absolutely no evidence of, and I have no reason to believe. Describing some spreadsheet that you have on your computer is not convincing in any way, especially when I'm asking a question about a real world observation that anyone
Yeah,
can
that's what the that's what the
if you're
that's
just
what
on a
the
plane or a boat or even in a
that's what
car. To be
listen.
honest.
That's what the
Hold
listen,
on,
man.
conspiracy. Hold on. Get it out of your system there, Green.
Well, wait a second. Was my steel manning accurate?
No, you weren't even.
No.
Okay,
No.
then please correct me. Tell
Well,
me
it
where I
only
went.
goes to how many times did Alan go over it? Like 4 times?
He
5.
said he didn't even name the term right.
He
Like
went
he
over 5 times.
couldn't even
No, I
remember
mean
the
he
term
said he went over
occlusion
it 5
timing.
times, but he didn't. You can run back the tape if you disbelieve me, but
Yeah, you seem to think that it's just something that he has on his computer, like he's just working up some theoretical model.
no, I don't. I
and
don't
he's
think
working
he
it
did
out
it.
on
I
his
think
computer.
some other
These are
flurfer.
real life observations.
Right, some flurfer observations. Got it.
No, anybody can do it. You can do it.
Listen, if I were you, I wouldn't want to address it either because it's terrifying and super, convincing.
So far,
concrete,
all this
independently
guy's giving
corroborated.
us, sorry, Shane, but it's more than I can handle. So far, all this guy's giving us is sophistry, gaslighting, right? And now ad hom about
And a
flurfers
bunch
took
of
the
questions you
observation.
simply can't
So
answer.
we must
And-
not have got it right because we're flurfers, right?
Condescending
waiting for
wagon
an
too.
Real quick, for the 10th time tonight, man. Listen, a star goes behind a mountain. That's called the celestial theodolite. Based on the time the star goes behind the mountain, determines whether or not the curvature is there. Do you understand that? You said you wanted real life observations. That's what Alan's been trying to tell you for the last 20 minutes. Do you understand that?
I'm asking a question about airplanes, and you're running back to mountain.
No one cares
I
about
asked you a very simple question, man. Do you understand it? Do you understand the fact that
I
star
care
goes-
about airplanes. That's my
Are you
question. If
listening
you
at
can't
all?
answer
Are
it, you're conceding the argument.
Yo, get rid of this guy.
Yeah,
Good, get rid of me.
Dude, you're
Concession
about to get
accepted.
denounced.
Have a nice day.
Yeah, you should just excuse yourself, dude. Yeah. I mean, seriously, that was pretty weak. I mean, seriously.
Instrument error,
he's
dude.
gonna say he's gonna
Well-
talk shit to Alan about laughing at something that he said about instrument error when he
Well,
doesn't
notice-
even understand what Alan was talking about in the first place.
Yeah.
Because my
do you-
question is, what instrument?
No, he had no
Well-
intention of listening to them either.
Well, there is air in the measurement, but it's not to the tune of exactly Earth curve. That's crazy. So like that was just like a way to hand wave dismiss it or whatever. But yeah, there is small variance in the measurement, but not to the tune of I don't know exactly what the Earth would be if it's a globe. Like that's retarded.
Yeah, I don't think he actually understood it like enough to even hand wave. He didn't know what he was hand waving and dismissing. He didn't even know.
I couldn't even say it. But dude, his only I think if I could make out his argument was a completely different straw man where he said that all the stars would have to proceed at different rates because everyone sees forever with superhuman eyes and orthographic lines that extend in perpetuity, violating the actual light attenuation, atmospheric opacity, and the inverse square law. I think that was his actual position for why it should look goofy to us. And then I think he made an argument out of that, and then was upset that nobody was addressing his retarded, made up horse shit. So that's weird.
I think the only thing he agreed to is that the mountain peak would be at a different position on a flat plane in a globe Earth.
Yeah, that seemed like he could not agree to it, which is why you got like the tacit agreement and then the quick deflection to something unrelated.
You want to talk about airplanes?
Yeah.
You want to talk about airplanes? Like, bro, no one gives a shit about your fucking airplane right now.
Yeah, you guys did a good job
I've been
of articulating
discussing-
the argument with the timing difference. That is the most important part of it. They predicted different eclipse time, essentially. You can think of it like eclipses. They predicted different time.
I've been discussing with way too many Zionists and Hezbollah accounts to not realize after like 20 seconds that he's Jewish. And it's the exact same quetching, over-talking, deflecting. Basically the Hezbollah handbook on a global Earth model.
You heard him as soon as he came in. I'm like, I bet you think the Earth's a globe. And then it was right off the, I kind of shots fired, but yeah, I'll just land there.
You can always
Actually, I
tell
kind of
how
blame
hard
it
they
on.
believe in the globe because their proportional response to conflating contrails with chemtrails is insane. Like you can see a normal chemtrail dissipate in like 20 seconds. It doesn't leave a streak across the sky that lasts the entire day and then some. Like that's that's such a disingenuous conflation. Like even normal people, like you can go out, watch a plane, record the contrail behind it. It doesn't last for the like it's basically, you know, trailing the plane essentially. It's a different thing. And they're like, "Nah, they're the same though, and you guys are dumb." It's like, "Oh. Oh, you have a nice big bowl of mainstream media and you just eat it every morning." Is that what's happening?
Well, it's valuable too to really place. The listeners get to hear, you know, because they come in so confident and then they run away. Sorry, go ahead, whoever that was.
No, I was
Well,
just gonna say I blame it on Alan because Alan gave him the senior in college explanation. I think he should have went back to like the eighth grade explanation of celestial theodolite.
Dude, he was
Yeah,
he was
I don't
he had
think
exuberant confidence in the globe, bro. He was asking for it.
dude,
He
how many
was
Globers do you think are proficient commonly with central angle theorem and its actual importance and their supposed
dude,
globe model? Like
dude,
off the cuff.
the
Right.
way
Yeah.
that they talk to us online and make claims about math and shit, all of them should be special angle theorem
Yeah, yeah,
specialists,
yeah.
bro. It's literally the first page in Smart's astronomy book. If you go to spherical trig books, it's like the first thing they cover about how angle equals distance and all of that. Like they better be experts in it if they think they live on a globe. If you think you
They
live on
don't
a
have to
globe and
know it, Alan. They other smarter men know it. Therefore, you're wrong. I mean, I can just lean on that. Like, come on.
And
but we got
other
an airplane.
smarter men are being referenced by a smarter LLM. My LLM is better than yours. My chatbot wins.
Hold on, let me ask Rock if I could just conflate and confirm my opinion of bias real quick. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Grok, how do I shit on these flurfs?
Hey, we've
Is
got
that TM's here. What's up, dude?
Brownhound
What's up,
does
guys?
that.
What's that?
I know y'all were seen Roundhound and a couple of them things talking about the celestial theodolite. He'll pop in and ask questions and Discord.
nice.
And
But as soon as
I've
go
literally
ahead, Ken.
watched him in the timeline say, "Hey Grok, how many of these flirts have I debunked?" And he's getting Grok to answer his questions.
Dude, somebody, I think it was, I think it was KJ pressed him for his source, and it came back to some account that had like 7 followers, and that or he was following 7 people and had like 2 followers, and one of them was like Elon, the other one was Jesse Path of Light. I think it was a Jesse. I think he's getting his information from Jesse Path of Light. Roundhound.
Grok, what was my kill count on Modern Warfare 2 in 2010?
Right?
How many Jessies have I killed in Halo? Could you give me the count?
I have a question, guys. I'm a newbie here. I was in earlier. In the flat Earth model, how does the sun and moon work? I've seen pictures and diagrams of it going in sort of a elliptical circle. Is that and if the sun is not as far away as they say, what do we think the sun and for that matter the moon is? What are they in relation to this plane?
It's a good question. I don't have a good answer for it, really. There's only one thing. Well, there's 2 things that we know about the sun and the moon. That's their angular size and how fast they go across the sky. So using those 2 things, you can see how long it takes for the sun and the moon to traverse their own diameter, and from that you can derive the diameter. So with that, when you do that for the sun and the moon, since they're the same size, they come out to be 32 to 37 miles wide. And then there's also a thing you can do with with the celestial theodolite and using an elevation that Brian derived to get the same kind of 30-mile wide relationship there. So it comes out to about the same with the only known variables that we do have. And those that like a 30-mile wide sun isn't big enough to like, light up the whole earth and do what they say, or, I mean, what's observed rather. And so I take the position that the sun and moon and all the celestial bodies and all that are individual to us, like how we perceive them, and their actual sizes and actual altitudes and whatnot. Like physical altitude in terms of like meters is unknown to us, and we'll never really know it. And when I was looking through the history of Japan and China for their cosmological beliefs, they actually thought the same thing, that the heavens were, had true positions that were unobtainable for our human eyes because of like various philosophical reasons that they would say. So like the Chinese ended up saying that we have a limit of vision, so how we see the heavens isn't one-to-one to their true positions. And then the Japanese kind of had a similar thing where they, we're saying that that the reason that the heavens were obfuscated from us was because we're not like, pure enough to view them, and you have to do like meditation and gain clarity and to see the quote unquote true heavens and whatnot. But obviously, you can meditate all you want. I don't think you're ever going to see the true position of any of the bodies, but that's how they were internalizing it and dealing with it. I don't think it's something that we'll ever know. I think this whole mathematical concept of asserting like this is a rock and it weighs this much is all a new thing pushed from the Royal Society coming out of the late 1800s.
So is that when the globe model was really pushed? Was at the end of the 1800s?
I think so. We're told a slightly different timeline, but when I was going through the history of China and their, they basically invented the celestial sphere. They invented using a unit like an arc in the sky as a distance on the ground. It was called a li. So like they had all this same concepts and everything. They had their own star catalogs to use the celestial spheres. They mapped out the north, and then they did an expedition in 1421 to 1425 in the south, where they got a zenith measurement of Canopus and used two stars that lead the Southern Cross that point to the South Pole, or in that direction, as their reference for the South. And as geocentric flat earthers, they mapped the entire South after that, or with that zenith measurement from Canopus, because what they did, or the purpose of the zenith measurement was to establish a 60 knot, or well, it would be lees for them. So a 60 lee per mile. Oh fuck, they wouldn't even have miles. 60 nautical lees per lee. I don't know what it would be, but anyway, they were having that same relationship that Polaris has with 60 nautical miles per degree. They were mapping it to that specific star Canopus in the south, and they just navigated with two hemispheres of two star maps to represent both hemispheres, merging them together. And so like by the time the 1600s rolled around, that's when the Jesuits say that they discovered China and were interacting with them and whatnot. And so they say that they showed up and fixed the Chinese calendar by 12 seconds because their calendar was off, and they made all these map corrections and stuff for them. And they kind of like retell the story as if when they showed up, the Chinese were kind of like desolate and retarded and forgot how to do all their astronomy stuff. And these brilliant Jesuits, helped them fix everything and convert to a globe, essentially. The Chinese didn't accept globe theory until like the late 1800s as well. And they encountered the Jezzies in the 1600s with the same identical coordinate system and method of navigation that the Royal Society, / the Jesuits now propose as their method of navigation that they introduced to the Chinese, which is crazy. They introduced the Chinese to their own method. It's kind of like that movie where the car salesman sells the last car on the lot to the guy that owns the car dealership. It's like doesn't make any sense.
So I've also seen models that there is, land beyond the Arctic ice, and we're actually surrounded by Arctic ice. Is that true?
Oh, I have no idea about any of that. All the maps that show that kind of stuff don't have latitude and longitude on them. If they don't have latitude and longitude on them, they're not for navigation and they're just art.
So in the flat Earth model, we still have latitude and longitude.
I mean, if you're gonna you find your way around the terrestrial ground using the stars. Latitude and longitude is a perfectly fine coordinate system to use. Now, I'm not saying that other lands and such don't exist, but I'm saying for practical purposes, navigating the quote unquote known lands using this coordinate system, um, there wouldn't be, there wouldn't be any extra things. Like, how would you get there to them? You know what I mean? Like, if you don't
Yeah,
have
an
a,
abstract spherical coordinate system is model independent, right? You can use it either way. I would argue. In which case, how would you differentiate an abstract spherical coordinate system from spherical Earth?
occlusion timings based on elevation differences.
So another question I have is, I had a guy work for me who was a Marine sniper, and he took me out shooting, and he was talking about, when we were sighting in the scope, he was talking that some of the measurements figure the curvature of the Earth. Is that just a mathematical, bullshit that they're putting on us for
Yeah.
calculating trajectory of bullets?
Yep.
Man.
So it doesn't even really mean anything. Like, if you see the target and you shoot it, the bullet hits it. They're not shooting an invisible target that's obscured over Earth curvature. That's preposterous.
Yeah, it doesn't
It
even make
would
sense.
it would have been a better claim to say that they were accounting for Coriolis or something, but that would be a directional dependent shot. So if you're shooting north or south, that's going to affect the Coriolis or that's going to affect your shot the most, and that's not something that anyone records or does or tracks or anything.
So check this out, man. Check this out. This is actually from a Marine Corps sniper.
All right, so I'm here with Mike, who's a former sniper with the military at our Flat Earth meetup at Gather Greenville. And Mike's going to tell us a few things about whether or not they actually account for curvature or the Coriolis effect when they're actually performing their sniper duties. So I'm going to turn it around to Mike and let him talk with you. This is Mike, everybody. You can see he's a legit sniper. So, Mike, do you guys account for the Coriolis effect? Never. Never at all. What do you account for?
Windage, size of target, distance to target, temperature, ambient temperature, elevation of target from shooter. Never Coriolis.
Do you account for curvature of the Earth at all?
Absolutely not, 100%.
Well, you do account for the parabolic arc of the bullet, right?
That's right. Holy crap.
Yeah. Gotcha. So everybody can hear from the mouth of a U.S. sniper that they do not account for this Coriolis effect. So that argument
Or account for Coriolis. So, I mean, snipers never account for Coriolis or Earth curvature. And if one told you they did, they're lying.
Well, he was just helping me put the number, whether or not he was actually accounting for it. I could be incorrect on that, but thanks for sharing that video. Appreciate it.
Man, I've taken a lot of long distance shots. I never even thought about Earth curvature. Ever.
Yeah, maybe he was talking about the ballistic curve, but not Earth's curvature.
Yeah, the parabolic curve is,
Yeah, you may be correct in that.
Ooh, I got some gravy on the parabolic curve. Did you guys know that the parabolic curve is a flat Earth approximation?
It's like throwing a football.
Yeah, so Shane and I found in a bunch of textbooks where they talk about the parabolic curvature for bullets and whatnot. Those are all flat Earth approximations. The only time they actually would use quote unquote globe math for that kind of thing is when something's traveling at escape velocity. So everything that's sub escape velocity is quote unquote a flat Earth approximation, and it's a well-known, established thing. Like that's how they talk about it in literal textbooks. And it's like, so you know how we're arguing.
Well, it's
with
just
people.
simpler, Alan. That's not fair. It's just simpler that way. Okay, it makes it easy.
It's just simpler. But that approximation holds, makes the correct prediction every time, and they call it a flat Earth approximation. And they say that the globe, the extra special one is only for escape velocity stuff. So all the time that we've spent arguing over gravitational effects and what a bullet does and it's all flat Earth approximations. Isn't that crazy? And they would like swear up and down that it can't work on a flat Earth. It's not possible. It's the same numerical value and prediction, my dude. You just didn't even know it. Unlucky.
Well, thank you for letting me come up to the speaker panel, guys, and answering my questions. I'm here to learn more, so I'm going to drop down to listener. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, cool, Mickey. Thanks for coming by.
Yeah,
So
no worries,
Canadian
lad.
News has been standing there with his hand in the air for quite a while, making lots of sound effects and shit. Canadian, you got anything constructive to say or ask?
Oh, is my hand up right now?
It
No,
looked
but
like it was. It might have been an emote though.
I've been watching your conduct for about 45 minutes now. I figured you might have something to say.
Yeah, Alan, to go back to the extra land, I guess, with Admiral Byrd, I guess in 1950 something, he apparently discovered more land. But when you think about how society is trajecting these days, we didn't really have too much taxes back then. And then when people were actually buying houses, there was higher interest rates because when you were lending money, it actually meant something. But now, fast forward to 2025, and they have us all controlled through, mass amounts of vaccines, which may be deteriorating our brains, and we're now living in 40 to 50% of our life being taxed and having to work till we're 65 years old. But the theory going back to there being extra land and them not telling us, and the 57 nations or so through the United Nations not wanting us to go past the Antarctic or not discover past there for scientific purposes. It's just weird, it feels like all the countries together collectively don't want their economies to crash and to be more exploration, because everybody's trapped in this society of pretty much giving their life to taxes. And if you make it out and do better, then I don't know, you're not working till you're 65. But it's kind of that theory as well, to tie into us being condensed into the nations that we know currently. My theory.
Well, considering that they've been trading our productivity on the stock market for years, you can see how really nationalism is nothing more than the practice of how to keep your cows on your side of the fence, if you know what I mean.
Kenbo's got his hand up.
Yeah, so
And
I'm
not
gonna
having
take
your cow replaced with some foreign goats.
Alan back to the China navigation thing. I was just trying to look some of it up because I couldn't remember everything you talked about. And I just asked Chat GPT, when did China, or did China have a prime meridian? And I was looking for the city, which was Beijing, but that was much later. They were saying that before 200 BC, each observatory used their own north-south as their prime meridian, so they had no fixed prime meridian. But from 200 to 100 BC, they started using, and I can't say the name of the city, but it was whatever the capital was under the Tang Dynasty, and then they moved it for the Song Dynasty, and then eventually they had moved it to Beijing. Uh, um, uh, it doesn't say exactly when, but Beijing was like their last move, I guess. But they're saying that it went all the way back to 200 BC. Before 200 BC, they were using a prime meridian.
I got $5 on Shanghai.
Oh yeah, I didn't even know about that one. The only one I'm familiar with in terms of using for a prime meridian was Beijing. But they're what they did. They started with coming out of the BCs, like the first 200 years of the new generation or whatever it would be, AE. I can't remember what it is, but anyway, coming out of that, they built an armillary sphere ecliptical mount or ecliptic mount, which is position like the sidereal positions of the sun and the stars. So whatever they were using, like it's crazy because they just like come out of the BCs like swinging, dude. Like armillary spheres, and then like they further developed those. They made clocks. They made all kinds of stuff. They started doing star logs. They came up with shadow tables, all kinds of stuff within a really quick period of time.
Water
Trigonometry,
clocks,
yeah,
water clocks, shadow tables.
they invented trigonometry as well. Like they have their own
Might
their own proof for Pythagoras' theorem and all that.
might be in correlation with the Aryan migration.
No, we're talking about Chinese people, my dude. They weren't a
Yeah,
full. They weren't. They weren't a.
Aryans.
Are they Aryans? I
Yeah,
don't know
there
that.
has been Aryan mummies found in China and in Japan with European DNA, blonde, reddish hair, and blue-eyed.
Oh, interesting. I'm not familiar with any of that. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, it says that they
Yeah,
use their
the Chinese
system
Jews, bro.
from 200 before 200 BC all the way up to about 1644, and that's when the Jesuits started introducing their system to them, but they didn't really adopt it until like the 1700s under some emperor who studied with the Jesuits
Yeah.
as part of his education.
So that emperor whose name I can't remember, but the story with that guy is that he was infatuated with globes, and they would send him like the Jezzies would send him decorative globes that he would put all throughout the palace. And it was like I remember reading somewhere it was saying that for every room in the palace there was at least one globe. And then it got to the point where um he had like so many globes that they had sent him that there was like a room that just had a ton of globes in it. And then that guy ended up decreeing that they were going to change their cosmology to globe ball. But I don't think that was until the 1800s, though, if I'm not mistaken. Thought it was later.
Yeah, funny how everything Aryan culture brought forth is tried to be discredited by Jews in some shape or form, almost like it's some biblical feud, right?
No, I don't know anything about that. I just know there's a group
I
of
mean,
people known as the
Jesuit,
Jesuits that are
the
retelling
Jesuit,
history how they want to. I don't know that it has anything to do with the other stuff.
the Jesuit order was formed by crypto Jews in Spain.
Can I live one day in my life without it being Israel's fault?
Absolutely not.
I mean, I'd wish for it, right? But
at the end of the tunnel of every rabbit hole is a rat connected to the same nest.
Yo, in Veritas, have you ever seen Dune? You ever watched the movie Dune?
Yeah, but the old ones or the new ones?
Doesn't matter. They're always the
Doesn't
same.
matter.
Yeah, the Jesuit
Both.
money. What did they call them?
The
Yeah, have
Benny
you ever watched
Jezzies?
Dune? The
Bene
Benny
Gesserit.
Jezzies. The people that basically influence all different types of, governments and populations and control world events and etc. Those people, the Benny Jezzies. That's it's the same kind of people. And guess what? What do you need to know, right? You need to know exactly where you are and how to navigate. That's why the first thing they tried to control was like the land, sea, and air. There you go. China has their own map. We can't let that happen. Here, take this shit.
They were actually wrong. Our map's twice your map. See how right we are? You guys almost had it.
Take our same map given to you in the form of a Mercator. It's like, what?
Yeah, I've seen an old Chinese map from, I think it was the 14th century, with Antarctica depicted as like being populated with southern hemisphere animals. Very interesting.
Yeah, well, there's the Perry Reese map that was like completed by the Chinese, like the southern hemisphere portion, and you could see because they used to do rumline navigation, and the star Canopus. If you look in the south on that image, I'll see if I can find it here and post it. But where the zenith for Canopus would have been, there's where their rum lines intersect into a circle, and then they go from there. So I'm almost positive that all of the convergence lines on those types of maps, those rum line maps, like the original ones, are all positions of stars that were supposed to be there that were further references.
Dude, shadow tables is the clincher, man. They were like, how do we tell where we are anywhere in the world? Well, as we figured out, you need some sort of latitude or the grid system. And they were like, well, when we can't see the sun or whatever, we'll just take a shadow length mark. We'll mark where we are. We'll see how far we go. We'll take another shadow length, and then we'll measure all our shadows from a reference meridian. Essentially, they did the exact same system that we're told got unfolded after John Harrison and his wonderful chronometer, where they decided to tell time down to the second so they could use longitude in the exact same way and set their reference meridian over at Greenwich. It's like, oh, wait, if we just change shadow tables for like a chronometer and water clock, it's exactly the same story, except they did exactly the same thing. They used ratios of an arc minute in the sky to map out the entire world. And all it took was understanding the importance of shadow length tables. So there you go.
What's up, Flats?
Not much. So going back to the category of things that don't exist for 600, that PFP you fought with or butted heads with you on Tuesday and called you the other N-word. Later Tuesday, he was in a space with Captain and I, and he claimed he's a sniper. He's a flat earther. But he claimed he's a sniper, and he said there's no Coriolis. They don't account for it. They account for windage, distance, temperature, humidity, no Coriolis. He's like, it would be ever changing. I'm like, what's the formula? There's not a formula. Doesn't exist.
Yeah, the more aligned you are north or south, the stronger the Coriolis effect would be on your shot. And the more aligned you are east to west, the less impact it would have. So if you were going to do like a extreme long distance shot, for example, like what was that one that was done in
2 miles.
Was it 2 miles? I thought it was longer than that. It was 4. No, it was 4.4. Yeah, it was 4.4 miles.
4.4. Holy crap.
Yeah, 4.4 miles. Time of flight for the bullet was like 26 seconds or something like that.
59 seconds. Yeah, wait,
Was it?
29 seconds.
29. Thank you. So 29 seconds time of flight for the bullet. Now, if you were going to you're a professional shooter, you're trying to min max, you're not out there to waste time. You're going to go and find a target that's close because you have to control for as many variables as you can. And like dude was saying earlier, what you account for is elevation. Well, you can control that. You can pick your target stationary. You're not shooting a man, you're not hunting somebody. So you can choose your elevation differences. You can choose your direction, and you could choose the time and location you're shooting to control for temperature and whatnot, and wind the best you can. But the one thing that you would absolutely do is you have this other variable called Coriolis. So you're going to want to make sure you're shooting east or west to minimize that effect, because the idea here is to reduce the amount of things that are going to make that bullet land in a different direction by as much as you can. So this guy in like 2021, I think it was, got the world record shot, 4.4 miles, hitting a target, and he did not account for Coriolis. And the main feature of that is that he shot what was it? Southwest. He shot west by southwest, like more in the southwest direction, which would have been prime for accounting for Coriolis because you're diagonal to the plane of motion that you're shooting against. So it would have, it would have been a variable to account for. And Jaron actually messaged that guy because like when that guy got the shot, all these online websites were like, guy accounts for Coriolis and gets they were all pushing that same narrative. So Jaron emailed the guy and was like, hey, did you account for Coriolis? All these websites are saying that you Coriolis out of your mind. And the guy was like, no, I didn't Coriolis at all. Accounting for Coriolis at a shot of 4.4 miles would be like a 400-pound person buying thinner inner tubes for their bike to get an advantage in a cycling contest. It's not gonna matter. And then so I was talking to a guy named I Can Science That about this, and he was saying that it would be good evidence for a globe Earth that's spinning if the guy shot east or west, because that would mean that he shot in those directions to minimize the Coriolis effect, and any other directions would be evidence, against the globe. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, we'll see which direction he shot. So I had Jaron message the guy to see what direction he shot, and while we were waiting for that, while we were waiting for him to reply, when you go to the website of the shooting range that posted their achievement, you can see the position of the moon at the target at the time of impact. So you can reference from MoonCalc, what direction that was, and it came out to be south by southwest. And that's exactly what the dude said in his reply, because I wanted to make sure that he wasn't going to like lie or say something different, and I wanted to have some ammo ready. But his reply back to Jaron was, "Don't tell anyone this, but I shot south to southwest." Now, I can't think of any reason why that man would not want the direction to be publicly known, but I think he knew the implication, and he was like, I don't want to be bothered with this, but like, just don't tell anyone.
Yeah, and also that same flat Earth sniper, he like I mentioned, like the only different thing you would have to account for other than environmental things is the rifling on your barrel, like how many twists there are. That would change the way the bullet traverses to its target. And like he said, yeah, and he also said, he's like, there's snipers that make long shots. He's like, and there's regular civilians that make long shots that don't obviously get taught Coriolis, allegedly. So yeah, it's nonsense. We all know though.
Yeah, they have oh, sorry. I was gonna say that they have a book of things that they write down, like all the things they're accounting for. I forget what it's called, but there's like a word for it. And it would be interesting to see some of their logs if they ever are like, oh, you know what? I'm at this latitude shooting in this direction. That means there's going to be this much Coriolis. Like, I bet you that's not a single book ever written.
Yeah, and it had to be like some kind of logarithmic equation because it change based on your position, your direction, the altitude, everything would change.
Yeah, I don't know if it would be logarithmic, but it would definitely be directional and angle dependent for sure.
Yeah, it'd be ever changing. Like, I don't know, it'd be weird.
Yeah, there would be something that's like averaged out and pre-calculated so that if you're facing at this angle, you would have the best chance to account for that force, but that doesn't exist.
And why don't they claim Coriolis with railguns, or do they?
Never heard any of them say anything about that, bro. They say that the railguns are like proof of Earth.
With railguns,
it's insane. You're like, this bullet that's traveling X amount of speed is actually following around a curve.
I think you'd go like Mach 7, the newest one, something like that.
Dude, that's not even an argument for curvature. That's an argument for motion. If you can't see the target, you know what I mean? That's like, you don't give a shit about you can't see the target if it's over the curvature. You know what I mean? Like, Like, it's so weird that people will say that though. Like, I've heard Globers say that, like, oh, you're not accounting for
Well,
the drop.
I don't know that they necessarily would, because you could call it in, right? Like you would be like, these are the coordinates I want you to hit, and then they would adjust their elevation to, like, dial it in. So I don't know that that would
But
necessarily be for or
they
against.
do elevation and then lat and long.
Right.
It would
That's
be
it.
like shooting them, launching a mortar. Like they don't always see the target. They're just
Right.
lob it.
Yeah, but
Right.
use
But
lat and long though.
well, I guess the difference between shooting something that's going to like drop in like that, like a mortar and a railgun, is like this: the railgun's just going horizontal, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
essentially, it's not like arced up at the sky to then drop down.
I
No,
don't know
it's
if they
launched straight
it's
at
launched
Mach
straight.
7.
Well, they
Yeah,
have to count for some drop over distance. Um,
not at Mach 7.
oh, it does drop. What do we say? I think we were going over this a week or so ago. Drops like a foot in like 20 miles or something.
Is that just the parabolic arc of the projectile, though?
Yeah, it's just the weight
Oh,
of the projectile just dropping from.
well, yeah. Accounting for the projectile arc is different from accounting from, like, oh, it's following this amount of curve over this distance to our target.
Yeah, I wasn't claiming that. I mean,
Oh,
they have to factor that in because it's going to drop unless it's
right.
shot a mile away.
Don't forget that those projectiles have a jacket that's finned as well.
Ooh, what does the finning do?
Well, it's like an arrow.
That's kind
so
of like rifling your barrel. You know what I mean? You're biasing for center of direction of travel. You're setting the vector. You're not
Oh,
just
I got
spinning it
you.
away.
like you wouldn't shoot an arrow with no
right.
quills on it.
Yeah, I was just imagining that. I see the president of Flat Earth with his hand up. Are we about to do a pledge of allegiance, guys?
El Presidente is here.
Guys, raise your right hands. Stand
I
up.
pledge my
Raise your right
allegiance.
hands. Place it over your heart. JT, go ahead. Send it, brother.
You're funny. I figured I'm like 2 hours late, so I got to raise my hand if I have no idea what folks have been talking about. But I love the title. And my phone, I dropped my phone the other day. In the case, I dropped the phone. I don't know why they have iPhones made out of glass on both sides, but it shattered. And the replacement came in, and this story's hilarious because I was on the phone with the Shurion or whatever, and they were trying to walk me through the process. And I was like, no, bro, I've been with AT&T for like almost 20 years. I know how to transfer from one iPhone to a next. And, we were talking just kind of about life, and he was younger, like probably late 20s. And we were just chit-chatting, and I said, hey, before I go, have you been looking into things? Like, are you a conspiracy theorist, or are you just like a chill dude? He's like, oh, no, definitely. No, I've been looking into stuff. It's a wild time right now. I was like, yeah. I was like, what have you been looking into? He's like, oh, mainly just like governmental stuff, like deceptions in the government. I was like, yeah, that's good. That's good. I said, have you gotten to Flat Earth yet? And he was like, what? Like, enclosed biblical cosmology, and he's like, no, I hadn't heard that. And I just gave him some basics, just some where to go, where to look, and how to find the beginning of this thread. He's like, dude, thank you. This is going to be the craziest rabbit hole. I can't wait to start, man. I feel like I'm going to be up all night. Like, it was such a pleasant experience. It's felt so good not to have like an anti-flat earther. It was just another human being that's like been looking into just normal stuff and hadn't heard about flat earth. And it was amazing.
Dude, that's a great story, JT, but I got one that'll top that in terms of human interaction. Earlier tonight, we talked to a guy who didn't listen to anything and then repeated his premise again and said that nobody refuted it. And it was so frustrating. I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about annoying things. You said you had a positive interaction? That's not supposed to happen.
Yeah, dude.
What?
It was awesome. I mean, let me add some kind of context or some more to the story. Yesterday, for some reason, I have no idea, was one of the hardest days I've had in probably a year. It was just like a dark day. Like it was rainy and cold. Of course, it's wintertime, but like I just didn't feel motivated. I had almost no energy. I just felt like the feeling of depression and just being low, and like I didn't have anything to give all day for no reason. And then today has been the stark opposite. I've felt great. The coffee was hitting. positive energy, ran a couple miles, hadn't been running lately, but I ran a couple miles, had this interaction with this gentleman where he was, more than just excited to look into this rabbit hole. He's probably, I gave him my email. I was like, runbostonbear@gmail, and he's going to email me. He's probably going to come to Discord because he's like, do y'all have a Discord where you talk about this stuff? I was like, oh boy. And I was like, I'm going to send you some stuff.
He's like,
did
we just become besties?
I know, right? It's just awesome, man. It's all positive. I see there's like 38 or how many people listening. So if there's folks that are listening that aren't actually in the room, that's okay. If you're just beginning the journey, looking into this, it can be quite weird when you realize everything that the mainstream media or what comes across the screen, the news, just programming, Rockefeller programming, it's all an inversion and a deception. And the only thing real is your authenticity, your uniqueness. You as an individual is real and amazing, and you should thrive in the world, connect with other people, laugh, enjoy having conversations about all sorts of things. You don't have to get triggered if somebody doesn't think like you do or has an opposite opinion on a particular subject. And that's my favorite thing about waking up to a lot of these deceptions is you find more and more people that don't care about how they've been fooled or lied to. Like they care, but they're not like clinging to it. We've let go of the fact that since childhood, we've just been fed deceptions and lies. And now we're connecting as a family and as a group of people that's like, I don't care what happens going forward. I'm going to look for where the truth is. And so I appreciate, the journey. A lot of you guys have been on it with me.
Well, that's awesome, living in America. But you got to understand, man, that there are some other countries where you have that frank discussion and you end up hurting somebody's fifis and you go to jail for saying the wrong thing.
Oh,
so
man.
Appreciate that even more is what I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I'm still waiting for the first time somebody walks up to me and says, hey, man, have you ever heard of flat Earth? I'm going to be like, yeah, I've heard a little bit about that.
Tell me more. That's
I was
fascinating.
talking to this guy, Run Boston something. You need to listen to this guy. I'm going to say, oh, you talking about the president of Flat Earth?
That's
Somebody's
hilarious.
going to tell me they've talked to him before. That's what's going to happen.
He's everywhere. It's going to, yeah. I second that.
Man, I wish I could plug in more. I feel like I'm falling behind on being present like I was. Like a year and a half ago, I was in every chat, listening to everything. I would like save multiple streams to listen to later, but I've been plugging into family still, just diving into our growing family and trying to help out my wife as much as possible. But it's cool. Like once you get in deep, you realize that your friends aren't going anywhere. The real ones that are seeking for real aren't going anywhere. And you just get to watch them blossom and grow. Like you guys have been crushing it on Globebusters and watching like Stephen A. Young. I just posted his link. He's doing more and more on his channel. So go check him out. And I look forward to seeing what happens in the next like 5 years. It seems like it's going to get pretty wild.
You're on a need to know basis, Mr. President.
Yeah, right.
Nice. Dude, positive interaction with JT. I can't believe you converted. So you smashed your phone, ruined all your stuff, lost your context, smiled on your face, convinced the guy who tried to get you, which I assume he failed to get you stuff over there, and you still convinced him to flat Earth. Is that your story? What a positive being.
He just was kind of impressed. Like, dude, he said, you seem like you kind of know what's up. Like, because I was explaining like the phone and how to transfer it. Because he was like, he thought he was going to have to take me by the hand to help me every step of the way to get my phone updated. It's like, oh no, dude, I've done this plenty of times. Let's talk about, better things. And actually he's from the Houston area and he saw my number, it's Texas. And we were just talking about, different things, rappers. I used to have a crazy system. People probably don't know this. I had like 1100 watt amp with 2 10s that like just vibrated the whole dadgum high school. And we were talking about different rappers, Houston rappers and stuff like that. So I guess it's important to first connect, like make sure there's even a connection before you just go flat smacking people, because some people aren't ready. And, that's something else I've learned. Like when I first found out about all the deceptions, I was in panic mode. I was kind of like, what does it mean? And what, I didn't know what I was supposed to do. And now I'm realizing that more and more about the awakening process is just getting to know who you really are in the world, and peeling back the layers of lies that are trying, like, there to box you in and control you and make you live like a life of fear or anxiety or worry. And once you start realizing, like, dude, this is your life, you're here, you're unique, you should rock it. And then you start having fun and meeting people and talking about all kinds of stuff. And it doesn't always have to be, the flat earth conversation. There's plenty to talk about with, medical and history, and there's different buffs, like history buffs, and there's different people diving into different things, and it's been freaking awesome.
If I can
Yeah,
add,
why is go ahead, but why is my mic is staying purple when I'm not saying anything? Like, it's still getting audio. Why is it doing that?
Twitter.
Don't know.
It's Twitter, bro, or X or whatever. Don't trip.
Hey, man, Elon's perfect. It's got to be you. It's your phone's doing something.
Yeah. Whoever spoke up and was like, let me go for it, because I just wanted to say hi and love y'all.
Yeah. So, Mr. President, I heard you were gonna go to Antarctica, do that marathon. Did you actually do that?
Well, so the race would have been early December, like December 12th or 13th coming up. Couple things happened. We had a fourth child. I had kind of like I'm still dealing with a little bit of a left leg injury, like a lower heel plantar. Like, people are like, you got plantar fasciitis. It's not that. It's different. I mean, I've dealt with plantar fasciitis in my right foot twice, and I know what that's like. This is probably tarsal tunnel syndrome, so more of like a nerve thing. So I haven't been able to train as much as I needed to, because, like, when I was talking about going, I wanted to go and get like top 3. I wanted to podium for sure. Second thing, I did not fundraise. It cost $22,500 for entry, and that gets you. That doesn't even get you to Point Arenas. Like, once you get to Point Arenas, that gets you the flight over to Union Glacier, food, lodging, the ticket to race, and back is the 22.5. And so I didn't come up with the money. So it's going to be a bucket list item. Like, I definitely want to run it. Like, I had a friend that just completed the 7 marathons in 7 days on 7 continents. This is the second time he's done it. And that one's like $45,000 to do that whole thing, because they're flying you like all over the existence, like all over the plane. But if I can't do it next December, the year after, I'm just gonna save, because Joe Hamby wants to go too. Like, I don't know if y'all knew, I made it to TrutherCon, which was amazing. Jeremiah Skiba did a great job, and Jake, for a first time event, it was real smooth and real fun. And then I didn't know I was going to be able to go to the International Truth Conference or Expo. And that was fun too. Met a lot of people, and I got to ride over with Joe Hamby. So he picked me up at my house. We had 20 hours in the car there and 20 hours in the car back, and we talked about all kinds of things. And one of the subjects was the race, and he wants to bring some of his equipment and go with me, kind of like as a to crew me some for the race, but also to observe, because I want to go. I want to look for myself. I want to bring a little bit of stuff to do some observations or experiments. But yeah, it's not going to happen this December, but it is a bucket list item for me.
Yeah, and the reason I asked is you jogged my memory, because I've been meaning to bring it up to the group. I was looking through my Facebook, and a guy that I worked with when I was with Disney on Ice, he did the marathon right after Witsit and Jaren were there. So I haven't talked to him in years, but if you guys have any questions, like, maybe I could ask him.
Yeah, I think, wasn't the race like the day before they got there though? And then the racers were all leaving as TFE was like showing up.
Yeah, it was before.
Yeah, it might have been right
it
week before.
I think the race was the day before, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But here's a funny one for you. So as I was looking into this race and trying to figure it out, like if I could go, if it would be possible. I mean, because I would pay like 8,000 to 10,000 of my own money to go, but I would have to fundraise the rest. There's just no way I don't have that kind of money. But as I looked into it, the race director, we were already friends on Facebook, like already, because I used to represent a shoe company and I was an ambassador for him. So I got like 4 pair of shoes free a year, and she was too. She's the current race director. So like I messaged her, I was like, hey, you're directing the Antarctic Ice Marathon. She's like, yeah, it's really crazy. It's cool. And I said, so let me ask you, is the sun like up the whole time you're there? Like, does it set? She's like, oh, no, it just circles in the sky. It's super weird. You don't really know when to rest. You have to go get into the tent where it's dark to get the rest. And so that was like a little bit of a confirmation for me, like, okay, this is a little bit legit. Let me see. The thing that is weird to me, this is just my personal feedback, because I've done 7 Ironman races and multiple long distance cycling events and probably 20 or 30 marathons. Anyway, when I went to check out the history of the race, you have all these people that go, and then when I try to find them on Facebook, it's kind of difficult to find like them posting about the race. But then the strangest thing is the YouTube. Like when you go to the highlight video, they've all been uploaded. Like to me, it looks like they've all been uploaded in recent years, even though the race has like a 20-something year history, and all the highlight videos go all the way back, but the upload date is fairly recent. And 2, there aren't very many comments, and so like it doesn't make any sense to me that someone would go have a marathon of their life down there and then not say like, oh, it was such a great time, or not have chitter chatter in the YouTube chats. It's almost like a ghost town in the chat. So to me, I'm like, that's fishy. Like that's weird. So that's more of the reason why I want to do it myself. Like I want to register. I want to go and see like what's the flight like over, what's the race like, and come back. And I want to comment on the highlight video and be like, I went. But it's just super weird that it doesn't authentically look like human beings have gone and raced this race for as many years as it's supposed to be. And maybe I'm coming at it from a conspiratorial angle, but also from a lifelong racer, endurance athlete angle. It doesn't really add up the way that looks to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw him on there and I thought it was like unique that, wow, I know somebody that did the Antarctic marathon. Like I said, I don't know if there's any questions I could possibly ask him, or if it's just
Well, dude, link me up with him if you can. Just email me, runbostonbear@gmail.com, or get him in contact with me so I can jump on a Zoom call or a phone call and tell him, like, I want to tell him I'm super interested in doing it. I want to hear about his experience. I want to get advice about like what he brought, what he wish he would have brought. Because I have had the question, like, did he wear ski goggles? And then, because if you have any kind of goggle in that kind of temperature, the perspiration and like the breathing and the sweating, they'll like ice over and you can't see. So I was thinking about getting like heated lenses. So because I'm going to be running hard, like I'm not going to be just jogging this thing. I've been going all out and sweating like crazy. It doesn't matter. Even if it was 20 below or 0 or 10 above, I'm going to be hot just because I'll be moving so hard. So yeah, get that guy in contact with me, please. I'd love to pick his brain.
Yeah. Well, do you know French? Because he speaks English, but he's more fluent in French. It's his first language.
Oh, you can't trust him now.
I don't know. I don't know French, but we can hammer it out.
Yeah, it's just broken, but he can communicate in English.
What was that French saying you used to like, Stone? Long live the croissant.
Vive les multitudes.
The hell did you just say to me? What did you just call me, bro?
My mother's a what?
Sounded pretty Frenchy to me.
Better take that back right now.
I was just referring to the multitudes of croissants that are out there, and they should live long. Vive les multitudes.
As I eat my bag of French fries.
Sacrilege. Sacrilege.
Man, thanks for hosting, Nick Cage. How's it been in the Twitter Spaces, the X Spaces?
Man, it's been today's a little slow on the globies. We had one guy come in here and spaz out. That's about it. But shout out to everybody else, man.
It's been a little bit more chill.
It's definitely been pretty chill, man.
And then what's y'all's take on the awakening, because it seems like to me more and more people are waking up to the scamdemic, and more people, it seems to me, are open to having conversations, like real conversations, where I think like a year ago, 2 years ago, it seemed like people had a triggering response. And now, like the guy I talked to on the phone, like he's already looking into lies, and that was cool. And I don't know. I mean, of course, the anti-flat earthers are going to keep bringing their sauce because that's their favorite thing to bring. It's almost like, to me, the anti-flat earthers have a name or a personality that they're actually going after. I don't even know if they can claim that that's what they're doing, but they picked a side. They obviously don't think the world is a stationary topographical plane like we do, and they're clinging to the ball. I mean, most of them seem to be. But once
They need
I think a
content.
person makes a decision like that, then they're just needing content, and they're needing to run in their lane and get their own like group to follow them. But dude, it's gotta be weird to not be running for truth. Or do they think they're running for truth? Or
They don't care. They're just in it for money, bro.
Yeah, I think a lot of them are just running for money, really paid actors. The first thing I do when someone comes off kind of aggressive about some topic, I go to their a page and type in 2 keywords. The first one is Israel, the second one is Jew, and in
Wait, what?
9 out of 10 times there's a direct correlation.
Between
Man, you went
Israel
somewhere.
and Jew, yeah, you're gonna have a correlation between those two words. Yeah.
No,
I thought
between aggressive globe Earth defending and being Jewish.
Well, I've kind of observed that a lot of the anti-flurf or toxic globers, a lot of them have like a science degree background, like so it's like they will not, whether they're paid or not afterwards, but like everything depends on their degree.
Or if they live in Australia.
Yeah, that too.
Oi.
Well, that really comes down
You know what?
to
That's a good point that guy brought up about like they usually have science degrees. There's this guy named Great Angelo or whatever, where he literally admitted, and this was like on Earth Awakenings. He said, why we come in here? Well, we're part of a group that's not just attacking, flat Earth, but all different types of conspiracies that are basically threatening the institutions that are at large, or like whatever or the establishment. Like they think it's an actual threat to the established education hierarchy that they, are alumni of, right? Because they went through the whole rigmarole, get my
Nailed it.
bachelor's, my master's, etc. There's literally groups of them out there that are retired and that are bored and they have nothing else to do.
Yeah, I think that's why my wife won't look at conspiracies, because she has medical degrees, and like she doesn't want to admit in her head that she's been bamboozled. I think it would break her down, like to know that your medical system is crooked and like you've been lied to.
Yeah. It's been like
Dude, Flat, we should
years going
we
for
should
a license.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead, say that again. I missed it, Nick.
No, I was going to say those medical doctors, they get 12 years of medical training. You're going to tell them that that was all wrong, and they paid for all that. Now they're in debt, and they really don't fix people. You're going to tell them that?
Yeah, that's going to stick in their craw. Like,
and they're just practicing medicine, right? Like practicing.
Want to tell
they
them
don't.
the third
They don't
leading
see it
cause
that way.
of death in America there, Flatlands? They don't want to hear that they're
Oh
responsible
yes,
for
in
180,000 people dying every single year.
Yeah. Well, my wife's not. She's not an MD, so she's not in there. She's a PA.
Well, yeah.
That's still good. We've never really connected like our families. I mean, we have, you and I, but we should definitely Zoom soon, and so you can talk to my wife and stuff, because she's woken up quite a bit, and she is a DO, so she's up there, but she's also awakening to quite a bit. And then, yeah, it can crush, somebody. I mean, they take the Hippocratic oath, do no harm, and they do
Yeah.
believe that they're learning the right protocol or procedure or system network, in their brain of how to find a symptom or like diagnose a problem and help that person get to the right solution. But really, a lot of it just ties them back to big pharma, and all the pharmaceuticals are oil-based, like oil-based pharmaceuticals. That's just paying big oil too. And then they pushed away all the homeopathic natural remedies that the earth provided for people to get well, basically like let food be thy health. That all has been pushed into, oh, it's dangerous. We don't have, this is the safety protocols and it can't be regulated. And they've made it all scary or whatever. But really, our bodies are designed to heal if you're giving it the right modalities, like the right rest, the right, water, clean, pure water, the right foods, and the right mindset. And of course, ground,
Foods are key.
You can't patent this stuff is all I wanted to say real quick. So there's a reason they don't prescribe these actual remedies that treat the root cause rather than treat the symptoms that actually exacerbate other problems, right? But yeah, you're spot on. Sorry to jump in like that.
Yeah, and they want to.
Doctors are just posh drug dealers, and doctors are the second most common cause of death in America.
Third. Second is
Third?
Heart disease / obesity. Versus
Yeah, there's a reason why like fruits and plants they share DNA with humans. There's a reason for that. We're meant to eat that. I'm meant to consume that. The natural stuff.
Doctors want to shove stuff down your throat and your mouth, but they don't want to focus on the main thing that goes down your throat, which is your food and your diet. They've gone away from that, which that would change a lot.
Yeah, they get very little nutritional training going through med school. But, my wife is starting to learn a lot more about things, and it's just cool. It's cool to see her wake up. And, we went to Confluence last year. We're going to be going to Confluence again. And that there are MDs and DOs and physicians that have been in the game for 20, 30 years, yet they're realizing too, it's funny, the paradigm, we have the cosmology, thing wrapped up, and they have to wake up too to their whole thing they've studied and believed to be true. And some are going to wake up, some aren't.
Yeah, my wife, she's starting to see the teeth of this beast, which is the medical system. Like, for instance, the hospital, like it's a Seventh-day Adventist hospital, and like the staff has nicknamed it. It's their logo or their slogan is the Healing Ministries of Christ, and everybody in the office, they call it the Stealing Ministries of Christ.
All right, lads and ladettes, we're going to wrap up for the night. If you want to join the conversation, link will be in the chat here. Give me 1 second. Here's the link. Or you can go to Shane's stream. I think Shane is still live. Put his link over here. Shane St. Pierre. There we go. Head on over to Shane's stream to continue the conversation.
I was like, hey,
I'm going to head off for the night. We'll see you guys on Sunday for Mana Stone's presentation. Then Monday for Celestial Theodolite Update 27. And then Tuesday, Aether Roundtable 111, where Shane's going to be going over the absolute gravitometer. That should be an awesome prezi.